We're live from the virtual Granite State for 150 laps around the Magic Mile here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Green Flag TV. I'm Cade Corbin, joined up in the booth by Brad Daniels with our producer Dustin Ollis pushing the buttons behind the scenes. With just 3 races left until the playoffs, tonight's race sure to be an exciting one around what is a very, very unique mile-long racetrack.
Yeah, this Magic Mile for sure will have a lot of drivers on their toes after having at least a little bit of fresh air last week coming off of Homestead 2 weeks ago. They're going to breathe in that northern air in New Hampshire, and I think it's going to pose a lot of problems for maybe some of these drivers who might not be that too patient behind the wheel.
Very different than last week's race at Homestead, much tighter corners, slower corners. Also different than next week at Texas, and then that all-important final race of the regular season at Martinsville before we kick off the playoffs out in Chicago. That's just a few weeks from now, so points are going to be incredibly important for tonight. Coming into the day, it's Chris Carroll up on Dalton. Kilroe was able to get that point lead after a great performance down in Miami. You can see on the right side of the screen, the top 16 are going to be the ones who make the cut. So Cody Gilson, Logan Wilson, Eddie Hagee, Dustin Ping, and Tanner Marr are a few names to keep an eye on. If any of those drivers are in the field tonight, they're going to need to maximize points so they can get themselves in the right position. We want to take a moment to thank the sponsors for helping the Blazing Pedals League. Actually, we'll take a moment to look at our team standings real quick. This is another category that's going on here, pretty close. Can't forget about the teams, because it's just 0.4 of a point between MFRD and Blackhawk Motorsports. Just like golf, lowest score wins. Those top 3 not separated by a whole lot, so we'll see if MFRD can hang on to their spot at the top of the team standings. And now we're going to get to thank those sponsors. We want to give a huge shout out to the Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company as a premier roofing contractor and a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise. They specialize in commercial and industrial roofing and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client as they offer creative solutions to meet those needs. They're a team of individuals who work for the same common goals of professionalism, quality, and service, offering preventative maintenance, new roof construction, infrared scanning, green roof solutions, metal roofing, retrofitting, and so much more. So if you are in need of a roof upgrade or addition, head on over to oiroofing.com for more information. We want to thank them for helping us keep the lights on here, support this broadcast, support this great league as qualifying is underway for this race. You see 6 minutes remaining in the round. Taking a look at Noah Van Hout. Now this is Brad Collins, who is going out and running some laps in that number 67 truck. We're going to ride along with him here and see one of the options that you can race at this track. You've got a few options of lanes that you can run. Brad Collins, it looks like, is going to kind of straddle that third seam and get the car to diamond late on corner exit. A great way to carry momentum down the straightaway, Brad, but it's not the only option that you have here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, even though it is so flat, we're going to see multiple different lines being ran here tonight as we're riding on board with that 67 machine. You can see he's starting about 3 lanes up from the apron and diamonding a little bit towards the bottom half of the track, probably around that first groove. And we'll see through 3 and 4, he's going to do the same exact thing. Let that truck get settled in and then rotate that corner ever so slightly to get a good run down these straights. The runs coming out of these corners will be ever so crucial, and it will get worse and worse as time goes on, as the rubber comes off of these tires. And the other thing to consider right now, at least track temperature wise, it's getting a little toasty up here in New Hampshire on track. It's 120 degrees on the track and 80 degrees air temperature wise, but still these trucks are going to be, you know, maybe a little hotter than some of these other guys would have thought coming into tonight's race. But for at least qualifying for now, this first lap is going to be ever so precious to try and get a good run in after, you know, maybe a little bit of scrubbage of the tires, keep those tires up. And you'll see a lot of these drivers also just keep themselves patient. And Cody Gibson there trying to put everything he can coming out of 3 and 4, slightly tapping that wall, but still right now sitting at the top of the timing table.
And I think Cody Gibson knew he had a great first lap, so went out there and pushed just a little bit too hard in his second lap. And that's why he got the back end of that truck hung out coming out of turn 4. That's a spot on the racetrack that is going to be super loose all day long, and that's just exemplified by that temperature in the track. We're going to see if Earl Hall struggles with that same thing. We're going to take a look on corner exit when the left front of the truck plants. The back end wants to step out right there. Earl Hall a little bit more conservative, but being a little bit safe is going to drop that truck towards the bottom of the boards, 15th, 0.8 of a second off the pace of Cody Gibson. So that's one of your options. Earl Hall going to clip it there, but he keeps it off the wall and keeps it rolling straight. Pretty impressive, but unfortunately that lap not going to have a lot of pace to it. There's a lot of interesting transitions in these corners too. We'll see. I think what happened right there was a little bit different than Cody Gibson. Earl Hall hits the transition between the flatter part of the racetrack and the more banked portion of the racetrack, unsettled that truck and caused an issue for him as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on that all day long too. Plenty to talk about with once again, a very unique racetrack.
Yeah, and this condition is supposed to carry on after qualifying as well. We're not going to see any sort of, nightfall either here at New Hampshire, and a good thing for it, as this track isn't really, made for that night racing, at least in the truck series. But all things considered, you can see these trucks going to have to stick it out in the daylight still, meaning the temperature on track is going to be ever controlled here throughout the entirety of the race, and a lot of drivers now getting themselves out there on the track in the later portions of qualifying here, hoping to maybe burn it down here at the end of tonight's race. But for Mark Arthur in that 12, we'll see what he's going to be able to do. He's got a 31.2 for the time being, and see if he's going to be able to get a better second lap here. That puts him in 17th currently out of the 21 trucks that have taken a lap here for qualifying. In total, we do have 28 trucks going to be able to make tonight's race, so it's a pretty stacked field here for New Hampshire. And all things considered, I think we'll see a lot of drivers learn their pace throughout the entirety of this race. And here comes the 12 across the stripe. See if he's going to be able to improve slightly 0.3 faster. That's going to keep him currently now up into that 4th place position on the timing table.
Dustin Ping, another driver who's been really, really good in the course of this season, but that's a little bit surprising there. The qualifying lap that he's put in has dropped him down to 19th on the provisional grid, so that's going to be a story to watch. He'll be a driver potentially making the chase here, the playoffs, but also going to have to drive his way through the field if he wants to score some of those points here today. Qualifying wrapping up, just a minute 30 to go. And as you said, Brad, these conditions are going to continue throughout the day. The track is going to stay hot. It's going to make it super slick. I think that's going to make tires very important. And of course, when we talk about tires and pitting, we also talk about fuel. Fuel for this league, 65% of the standard truck series fuel tank, which means we're likely going to see pit stops at the end of stage 1 and potentially somewhere in the middle of stage 2. It's going to throw a wrench in the playbooks of these drivers. They've probably been thinking about it all week. They've had a couple of weeks now to think about it with the off week last week following Homestead. So hopefully everybody comes in here with a pretty good plan, but that fuel tank, and as hot as these tires are going to get, a lot to manage and a lot to talk about. So as we wrap up qualifying, we're going to see who qualifies on the pole, and that driver will be the winner of the Shortstop Pole Award, another sponsor here for the Blazing Pedals League. For over 20 years, Shortstop has been serving Northridge's favorite pizzas, subs, and more. They're a family-owned restaurant that takes pride in creating delicious meals that bring people together. So if you're in the area, you're looking for something to eat, head on over to Shortstop. We thank them for their support as well, and we thank them for helping us hand out the pole award to see who's going to start this race on the inside of the front row once qualifying gets wrapped up. Track position going to be really, really, really important here today. So qualifying will put you in a good position to start this race and give you a little bit of a leg up when we take the green flag.
And all things considered, the restarts here are going to get a little chaotic, but we'll see who's going to be able to take this field to the green.
And it is Cody Gibson hanging on to win the Shortstop Pole Award inside row 1, inside of Dalton Kilrow, who's been great all season. He'll start in the 2nd position. Chris Carroll, current points leader right there in 3rd, and Mark Arthur, one of the guys who helps organize these races. On the outside in the 4th position, Levi Allen starts 5th next to Scotty Stevens. Pretty good qualifying effort for the Pennzoil machine. How about Brian Zimmerman inside of Noah Van Hoot? I believe that's his best qualifying effort of the season in the 8th spot. Ty Marasco, after a few weeks off, he's back in the league, starting inside of row 5, and Rick Thompson rounds out the top 10.
In row number 6, we got the 33 of John Perkins with Cody Miller going to be lining up to his outside in 12th. Tanner Marr is going to be starting in the 13th position. Brad Collins in the 67 truck going to be in 14th. Brian D is going to be in 15th with Lucas Sixiano in the 77 and 16th. Matthew Kleinschmidt in the 59 going to be starting in 17th. Dustin Ping in the 81 in 18th. Officially here and rounding out your top 20 starting grid, William Bruton and Samuel Lawson.
Back in the 21st position, Chris Berg, a long way to go to the front for him. He starts next to Earl Hall in that bright green number 49 truck. Back there, it's Miguel Gomez-Gaudet. As the last car to put down a qualifying lap, then it's last time's winner at Homestead. That's Justin Levine. Outside of row 12, we'll see if any of these drivers are able to take the green flag, including Joseph Causey, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and rounding out the field, it's going to be Larry Bell and Mike Massengill. So once again, we'll see how many of those drivers are able to grid. The last 5 there not putting down a qualifying lap, so they'll be starting shotgun on the field to Cody Gibson and Dalton Kilroe. Looks like the only driver who has not taken the grid was Brian Dees, so it'll be 27 cars here in a race that contains 3 stages. We're going to throw the first stage end, I believe, on lap 23. And then we're going to see the end of stage number 2 after conclusion of overall race lap number 66. And that's going to get us to kick off our final stage, which is going to take us to lap 150. A little bit of a longer race than we're typically used to here in the Blazing Pedals League. So that's going to test the drivers as well. But right now, they got to be laser focused on getting 23 laps in the books to get to the end of stage number 1. Top 10 are awarded points. Everybody else gets to keep track position. And we're going to throw that yellow flag here pretty quick.
Only 30 seconds per lap. If we keep it green, 23 laps is going to go by in no time. So we might see a lot of drivers trying to get this track position on this opening restart and start out tonight's race, hopefully on the right foot.
Cody Gibson's been pretty great in qualifying all season. Grabs another pole. He's going to lead us to the green. Carol and Arthur on row number 2. We're happy you could be with us here on Green Flag TV, and that green flag is in the air. We are racing at the Magic Mile. Immediately the field fans out. You can see the trucks moving around all over the place. Plenty of different grooves and plenty of different movements in the truck, keeping these drivers busy. Cody Gibson's able to get clear as the top 6 or so are able to single file out. That's Mark Arthur sliding in front of Scotty Stevens. Brian Zimmerman now the last truck single file as he gets clear on Noah Van Hoot. Little bit of a moment there. That's Kleinschmidt to the inside of Tanner Marr. He's going to go 3 wide, backs down to 2 wide as Dustin Ping throws it all the way to the apron. He wants the move on Siciliano, but he's not going to have a lot of momentum on exit as the 77 gets the power down the front straightaway.
Looking a little further up here. You got the one machine at Ty Marasco. You can see he's ducking down there below even where that apron is. We're going to see a lot of these trucks take advantage of the tires right now and dive it down onto that apron area to try and at least maybe perform a little bit of a slide job, but nonetheless track down this inside line, because as time goes on, the tires are going to wear and these trucks aren't going to be as quickly or able really to hit that apron. So for right now, at least Ty Marasco, he's going to be able to file back into line in front of John Perkins there. A little further back, Dustin Ping still looking to the inside of Siciliano in that 77 machine. And he's been one of those drivers we have seen taking on that apron. And it seems like right now that is his best friend. But for the moment, he's not going to get a good run. And obviously at any other oval, you know, that outside line will have the momentum coming out of these corners as Siciliano looking to the inside of Marr there. Might have sent it a little too deep, but still able to keep it alongside with the 4 and the 77 for now. He looks a little out of sorts given the opportunity to Dustin Ping here as these two switch around in roles. Is this really from 10th on back too wide for the majority of this group?
2 wide, in some cases 3 wide, as Rick Thompson is barely going to get clear of Van Hoot on corner exit. Now he pulls up to the right rear quarter panel of Ty Marasco. Van Hoot now single file just behind this double wide battle. Well, you said right there, Brad, the slide job is going to be so important today because of the progressive banking on this track. You don't have the ability to lean on that right side tire if you're on the bottom compared to running the middle where there's a little bit more grip in the racetrack. So Marasco's going to get all the way down, basically cutting all of the distance to try to get that truck in front of the 25. If he can get clear, the pass will be complete, but until he does, Thompson's going to have the momentum on the outside. This is the battle for the 8th position, and they've got to sort it out pretty quick because Brian Zimmerman in front of him is running away. There's the apron. There's the slide from Marasco. He's clear. Are we going to see a crossover from Thompson? Yes, side by side down the front straightaway.
A little over-under magic here for the 76 of Thompson, trying to look to the inside of Marasco now, using his own move against him, but isn't going to be able to slide up in front of the 1. They're going to keep themselves side by side as Van Hoot and Perkins, you can see behind them, also side by side. Looks like that battle has fizzled out. This one's still ongoing. The 76 able to dive it on in there, slide up in front of the 1 of Marasco, and he has nothing that he can really do for the moment. He's going to get a little bit of a run coming out of corner exit. Still stay side by side, and these two flipping and flopping which line they want to take. And now again, the 1's going to look to the bottom, and the 76 going to close the door. They're still so close. No contact though, but a little bit of aggressive driving there by Thompson, able to close the door and keep that one away and keep them at bay. As we look further up, the battle for 4th ongoing. Levi Allen with Mark Arthur to the inside. Arthur for now clear, but it looks like that 79 going to battle to the outside and try to stay on the corner panel of that truck. Ooh, good slide job there by the 12 and able to slide right up in front of the 79. And now it looks like Scotty Stevens has joined in the battle to the bottom side of Levi Allen.
And it's so challenging to complete a pass because you have those different options. You're so susceptible to the over-under move right there. Scotty Stevens does a good job getting clear of Levi Allen and not opening up the door for that opportunity. Now here comes Brian Zimmerman. He's going to try to pounce. Can he get 2 positions at once? He's able to get clear of the 79 as just behind them they're 3 wide. That's Van Hoot on the outside of Kleinschmidt and Dustin Ping. Ping is already up a handful of spots since the start of this race as he starts his charge towards the front. Right there, Miguel Gomez-Gaudet grabbed the wall just a little bit, losing some momentum. You see he's lost a couple of spots to Cody Miller and others. But this side-by-side battle hasn't gone away either. They've essentially been door-to-door since the drop of the green, and that's going to get frustrating. It's been 10 laps already. That's how long it's been, and they just can't get away from each other. There's a slider from Siciliano making his first start of the season. Want to shout him out. Shout out also to Samuel Lawson. I believe that is his first start of the year as well, so want to welcome them to the Blazing Pedals League, and we want to give you an update. Brian Dees did make the green flag. He's a little bit behind right now as he sits 5 seconds behind the back of the pack, but with the yellow coming out here in about 12 laps, he should be able to hang on to the field. This here battle for the lead. Kilroe has caught Cody Gibson after a fast start from the 7, but you gotta wonder if he's pushed those tires too hard, and if he opens the door for Kilroe, the 41 might be able to pounce.
Yeah, that's a 3-horse race right now at the front to see right now getting about the halfway point of the first stage. Gibson and Kilroe have been pretty much bumper to bumper the entirety of these first 12 laps, coming to lap number 13. But Chris Carroll also has just been tagging along for the ride, because since everyone else 4th on back has been battling it all out, these 3 have been able to pull away. And in going back to some of these drivers in that battle for 4th, you can see Mark Arthur at the top of this little group. And Levi Allen, Ty Marasco at the very end of it from about 4th through 9th. Still single file as we look into the battle for the lead.
Action happening all over the racetrack. Gibson uses the high line to hang on to the lead for the moment, but that was the biggest challenge he's had to face thus far. Pedaling that throttle, he's got to work both pedals as Kilroe stuffs it in there, is able to keep it out of the door of the 7. I think if Gibson can keep Dalton Kilroe tight here, he's got the opportunity to maintain the lead until the end of this stage. Having to fend him off for about 10 laps, not the tallest task, but having to do it for the rest of the race, that's going to be a little bit more daunting. So he's got to find something here. He's got to learn so that he can get something that he knows works and apply that later for the end of the race. The challenge for the win, that's the real fight. You want to win this stage, but you want to win the race as well. So Cody Gibson going to school as Dalton Kilroe doing the same thing, trying to learn a way to get around the 7 and complete a pass without opening it up too much for Chris Carroll.
And it was so interesting to also watch how the drivers, you know, we were watching the telemetry of the 41 of Dalton Kilroe. I was looking back here for the battle for 5th with Brian Zimmerman, Scotty Stevens side by side, Stevens on the outside and Zimmerman on the inside. But it was so interesting to see that, you know, the drivers are completely out of the gas and not touching the brake through the middle of this corner. They are completely feet off the pedals for about a second until you get that car or the truck rotated coming out of these corners. It is just another essence where I'm saying patience is key for a lot of these drivers, and if they are able to do so, they're going to be able to preserve a lot of that tire. And I think right now Scotty Stevens on that outside line is living a better life than the 28 of Zimmerman on the bottom. 4 wide here coming through turn number 2. Marasco pushing the envelope, still 4 wide, now 3 wide coming down the backstretch.
Rick Thompson was so smart there to just back out and live to fight another day, tucked up behind the 22. I think he had enough of a run to try to stick his nose in there, but Ty Marasco bullied him a little bit, made a little bit of contact. It's not a traditional short track, but you can bump a little bit here. The trucks can certainly take it. And Ty Marasco decided to put that on the limit there. He's gained a good amount of track position since the drop of the green flag, using that apron line once again, nearly clipping the inside safer barrier in turn 2. But he's rode that line up to the 5th position. Already one win this season, looking for number 2, so we know Marasco's a threat. How about Thompson trying to copy that line? Can't quite do it, though, because he's running to the back end of Brian Zimmerman, but he is able to get clear of the 22 truck. So Rick Thompson up to the 7th position, just behind Brian Zimmerman. They haven't been able to really gap anybody behind him, and they've still got a pretty solid pack of cars going on here. It's difficult to get separation as Rick Thompson nearly loses it, but he gets the throttle down. Big save out of 2. He's going to lose a lot of track position, but at least he's going into single file, he's going in a straight line, as this is a 3-wide battle. Siciliano's going to back out of it and let Justin Levine drive to the bottom, somebody who started at the back and is driving to the front, trying to clear Tanner Marr for the 14th spot. Here's the battle for the lead.
Kilroe to the bottom, Gibson to the top here. The 7 machine, remember, he was leading this entire race, has not been able to really get challenged so far outside of about 3 laps ago. But here comes Kilroe again. He's got the opportunity in the inside line, trying to see if he can use that apron and see if he can maybe pull off some sort of slide job. But at least the 7 keeping himself down there, pinching that 41. He's out of sorts coming out of 4. And again, Gibson able to pull ahead of the 41. Now about 3 to 4 tenths going into turn number 1. You can just see how much time you can lose down these straights if you get a little twitchy on these exits, and especially if you get in the gas a little too quickly, as Chris Carroll now going to be able to at least keep watching these two battle it out. He hasn't really challenged that 41 of Kilroe at all. He's been leaving that 41 alone to see if those two can get side by side. But as we're inching closer and closer to this stage break, it's going to get more and more pressing for these drivers at the front. It looks like Thompson having some issues again, locking it down, coming out of turn number 2.
That was a second spin for Rick Thompson. It looked pretty identical to the first one, but that was not a replay. He's just not having a good time, and exactly to Brad's point, you want to get the throttle down as much as you can to maintain momentum down these long straightaways, but when you overdo it, you get the back end stepped out. You're 20 laps into a run right now, so you know the grip is just gone. But they're trying to get the most out of it, because in just 2 laps, we're going to throw the green and white checkered flag and the caution for the end of stage number 2. 3-wide battle. Look at the move from Causey Allen is into Perkins, and we're still 3 wide. Perkins has a huge run on the outside, and for the moment, he maintains the 8th position, but all of these are spots for stage points. Only 3 of the 4 drivers on your screen are going to be awarded those stage points in just 1 lap's time, and you can see the desperation. Dustin Ping, I think there was some contact with the back end of Levi Allen that allows Causey and Perkins to sneak away just a little bit, as Dustin Ping is not able to get clear. 1 lap to go in the stage, as Cody Gibson has successfully fended off Dalton Kilroe. Doesn't look like Dalton Kilroe has anything else to give. He's kind of pushed those tires and decided, you know what, we're going to finish this stage in second. We're just going to run it to the end, make sure that we can get there. And it's going to be about a half-second stage win for Cody Gibson. He's done it before, winning the first stage from the pole, and he's going to do it again here at New Hampshire. Cody Gibson is your stage 1 winner.
Kilroe, Carroll, Mark Arthur, Ty Marasco going to be your top 5. And side by side for that final spot, I believe Dustin Ping might have got it at the line. It will be real interesting to see if Levi Allen might have edged him out depending on when that yellow flag came out. But I believe Ping was able to get past the 79 right at the last moment. I was going to note, too, you know, the 12 of Mark Arthur ended up on an island of his own, but he was catching these 3, so it might be something to note. But again, congratulations to Cody Gibson taking another stage win.
So now we're going to re-rack them and do it all again. It'll be about a 42-lap stage as we get all the way to lap number 66, approaching the halfway mark of this race. That'll be much later. But for now, everybody's going to get a chance to catch their breath, come down pit road, take 4 fresh tires, take some fuel, and kind of reset. Now that they've had a feel for these trucks, they've got the opportunity to at least take a little bit of a breather. So we'll see as everybody lines up and comes to pit road. This is how close it was for the final stage point. That's what they were at the line, and you can see in that shot Levi Allen is ahead, but at the exact moment of caution, the 10th position was given to Dustin Ping. So it was incredibly close, and the timing worked out well enough for Ping to wind up with the final stage point. Everybody in, Brad, and I'd imagine that you would want 4 fresh tires as how hot the track is and how hard we were pushing in that first stage.
Yeah, the sun is still beating on this track. It jumped up to 125 degrees now on the track, so, you know, nobody is really getting any sort of relief at the early part of this race. And the only thing they're really getting maybe is a little bit of a sunburn here as everyone getting 4 fresh Goodyear tires. And Cody Gibson able to lead this field back across that yellow stripe and getting some 3-wide action here with Cody Ping, or it looks like Dustin Ping was able to take that 10th spot and keep that 10th spot away from Levi Allen and Justin Levine right there. And, you know, another thing to note just with how these drivers have been doing, there is a lot of 3-wide and 4-wide battles happening when these tires really were on their last, well, not last breath, but, you know, very worn in. So I am surprised by that, as you could tell a couple times whenever we were watching some of those battles, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, as really this should be the time we think the field would be the most tanked.
Yeah, you've got a long stage here. You've got to take care of your tires. We're taking a look right now at a lot of drivers slowing down and letting everybody go. Ty Marasco was one of them. I think Levi Allen was another, possibly Luca Siciliano, and Earl Hall was the other driver who got a speeding penalty. Man, 4 pit road penalties. It's going to drop those 4 drivers all the way to the rear. They'll restart 25th through 28th. And again, a couple of those were front runners in Marasco and Allen, top 11 at the end of the stage. So those are going to be some names to keep an eye on, trying to drive their way through this field. So we're going to kick it off stage 2, and it looks like Marasco is trying to get himself lined up. Everybody else, though, is formed up. Still 28 cars on the lead lap. They're being led by Cody Gibson, Dalton Kilroe, Chris Carroll, Mark Arthur, Brian Zimmerman, and Joseph Causey. The front 3 rows as the green flag is out once again, and we're back to racing at New Hampshire.
Right now, everyone's got to try and chase down this 7 machine, and for now, looks like the 99 of Chris Carroll. First time we've seen the 99 get to the inside of Dalton Kilroe. He's going to try to take that 2nd spot away. Isn't going to be able to do so on those cold tires. Try to get him up to heat a little further back, getting a little squirrely as things all get settled out. Everyone keeping it forward. The 89 going to keep on going of Miguel Gomez Gaudet, and we keep on staying green here. First green flag run of stage number 2. You can see all the trucks going in all the different lines coming out of turn number 4 there. Looking back, there is just side-by-side action through the entirety of this field.
And everybody made a mental note after that first stage that it is incredibly difficult to pass under green unless you've got a huge tire advantage. So you got to get your track position when everybody's stacked on top of each other at one of these green flags. So there's all the incentive in the world to throw some caution to the wind and go out and get what you can. And that's why we're seeing so many different lanes, so many different moves. The aggressive moment out of MGG there is what dropped him to the back of the field. That was contact with the wall. Brian Zimmerman grabbed just a little bit of the safer barrier, but he's got his truck pointed in the right direction and hanging on to the 7th position for side-by-side battle on track. Joseph Causey is trying to get to the left rear quarter panel of Mark Arthur, but Arthur's getting a little bit of a push from Scotty Stevens. I don't know if that was a bump draft or a little bit of a warning shot, but Stevens got all the way up to the bumper of Arthur He's got Brian Zimmerman right in his tailgate. John Perkins is still inside the top 10. Justin Levine has driven his way all the way, started this race outside the top 20. He's now inside the top 10. We've got an issue now for the 20 of Mike Massengill at the back of the field, but we're able to stay green as he gets that truck under control. We're going to take a look at the replay with the rookie Luca Siciliano. It looks like he just gets loose all on his own.
Able to avoid at least the barrels and the commitment line there to avoid any sort of penalties, but keeping it forward. I wanted to note that, Joseph Causey starting back in 25th, he's still trying to charge through this field and has done it pretty quickly with that running on the apron line. It has worked out much for the 8 and for some of these drivers as well who have been pushing through the field. That bottom, that apron at least has been their best friend, including Justin Levine as well in the 3, and both of those starting in the 20s, getting themselves up into the top 10 as everyone's shuffling back here in the mid-pack. And I think we're still going to keep it forward, still going to get a little chaotic though, as the 1 going to be trying to get himself back up and through this field. He's doing a good job at it. Marasco currently sitting inside now the top 20 as you see him passing to the outside here. But still, Joseph Causey actually losing another spot here, potentially to Scotty Stevens as he's battling to the outside.
Stevens got a really good run. That was William Bruton, the purple car, or rather purple truck we saw shoot to the inside. Here it is, gets loose on his own. I think he had a little too much wheel in it trying to keep it out of the wall. Also had an issue for Earl Hall. He spun around at the exit of turn 4, was able to keep that truck pointed straight though. Up here it is, and that is right as the truck transitions. Very, very similar to Massengill. That's dropped him 5 seconds off the pack all the way back to the 28th position, but Earl Hall still in the race. And so on the lead lap, as there's contact, Causey ships Stevens. Scotty Stevens is heavy into the outside wall, and the first caution for cause of the day happens on lap 34. Hard battling inside the top 5. Significant damage to the back end of the 22 of Scotty Stevens.
Yeah, that right side is a little lifted. It is definitely not a track where you can really save yourself. If you're going to get yourself shipped here, we're going to take a look back at the replay. What happened to him and Joseph Causey? Just gets tagged and throws him right up into that turn 1 retaining barrier. Everyone able to get on by. It looks like maybe some of these drivers a little further back had to check up and got a little squirrely, but still some hard racing, ending up, at least for now, into our first yellow flag of the day.
And that's a pretty classical racing incident, right? You've got one driver expecting to enter the corner and run the middle. The driver on the outside enters the corner and just expects to go for that same real estate. We're going to see the 22 cut left while Joseph Causey was setting himself up to run that middle line, that same line that Stevens wanted. And that resulted in contact that the 22 definitely got the worst end of. As the pace car comes by pit road, we're not seeing too many drivers pit. I believe pit road was open right there, but nobody electing to pit except for a couple at the rear of the field. Chris Berg, Larry Bell, of course Scotty Stevens trying to get some of that damage fixed, and they're going to bring the 67 of Brad Collins is as well. I think with this caution, most of the field is going to be able to make it to the end of stage 2 on fuel. They've only got to go about 30 more laps. Chris Berg, I think, getting himself a little bit of insurance here as it's a longer pit stop for the 66, actually. There may be a little bit of a longer story and potentially a little bit of a bathroom break, maybe, for Chris Berg, but that's going to drop him all the way to the tail end of the field. Bell, Collins, and Stevens, they're the ones with the fuel insurance, but I believe that everybody else is thinking they'll be able to make it all the way to the end of stage 2 without having to pit again.
Right now, it looks like I believe Scotty Stevens is also going to be ending up with an end-of-line penalty, which is not going to do too much to the 22 right now, as he's still sitting on pit road to repair everything that happened there. But at least at the moment, I believe Stevens is going to be the first truck a lap down, as he is still on pit road getting his repairs done. Still got 27 trucks on the lead lap, all trying to chase down Cody Gibson at the front, who has led every single one of these laps here. And Dalton Kilrow, along with Chris Carroll, both have been trying to track down that 7, but so far no avail. But you don't want to take your eyes off of that 8 and 3 machine of Levine and Causey. They have both been battling through the field and now have made their way at least to the 3 front runners that have pulled away from the rest of these trucks. So it'll be interesting to see what some of these newcomers right now in at least the front half of this field have to go against the 3-headed monster of Gibson, Kilrow, and Carroll.
And I think those top 3 have a little bit of an advantage because they've been able to feel that truck out in clean air, even though it's a little bit of a slower track. you still got a pretty big wake behind these trucks. Aerodynamics still very important. And the 7 and the 41, they've been used to running at the front, and they're going to do it again as they hit the restart zone. Gibson and Kilrow, same song, second verse as we're back to racing in stage 2.
Gibson again gets a great jump, able to clear himself going into turn 1, maximize his entry angle, and then Carroll and Kilrow again battling side by side. We'll see if the 99 is going to be able to get anything out of this truck this time by. Kilrow has a little bit of a run coming down that backstretch, but there are nose to nose going into turns 3 and 4. And it looks like the 99 for the moment is able to clear Kilrow for the first time tonight. He's going to take second place again, but it's a little over-under move for the 41 of Kilrow. He's going to look to the inside now. Have Joseph Cossey along with Mark Arthur right on both of these trucks' bumpers, trying to see if they can maybe get these two pressured into a little bit of a, maybe an incident to get themselves up into that podium positions. But for now, the 41 and 99 still side by side. It looks like Kilrow is going to have to settle in for third.
We got a new second place runner. It's Chris Carroll, as now Kilrow's under fire from Arthur. Arthur, I think, might have gotten tagged by Causey there as the 8 truck went all the way to the apron there. 3 wide, Arthur Levine, and it's Justin Levine who has momentum off the outside to take the 4th position. 2 for 1, as now Causey and Arthur are going to have to be careful not to give up that spot to Dustin Ping. What a move from Levine. He's up to the 4th spot. And now he's get a good look at the bumper of Dalton Kilrow. And Cody Gibson, meanwhile, is looking at all this in his rearview mirror. He's got to be smiling because it's allowing him to sneak away once again. Really good short run pace in that 7 truck, and it's only going to get better as these guys fight behind him.
Arthur still defending to the outside of Joseph Causey. Causey now looking to the inside, keeping himself on at least that inside line pretty much all of tonight. We haven't seen that 8 truck go anywhere lower than that second line and still keep holding true to that. Oh, the 25's around of Rick Thompson. He's going to bring it down. He got a little more contact hard into the inside wall.
That was Brian Dees that just caught a piece of him. Similar situation to what we've already seen from Thompson today. We're going to take another look at it. He gets loose on corner exit. No contact with Matthew Kleinschmidt. And as that car slides towards the bottom of the track, there's just not quite enough time for Brian Dees to react. And we get our second crash of the day. It's the 3rd yellow flag. And unfortunately, it gives a looks like pretty significant damage to the 25 of Rick Thompson. We're going to ride along board with Brian D, see what he sees, and it's just a cloud of smoke.
Yeah, I think he was fully trying to go to the inside because he knew he had a truck to his outside to try and maybe split the gap, but that quickly went out the window. And really for D's, at least a little bit of front end damage that he can get fixed on pit road. But since this is a short track, he's not going to have much time to repair that truck. So we'll see how many of these drivers will bring it down pit road. It looks like next time by. And this is going to be a similar, at least, length to the first stage, as now we're going to get into lap number 42. We're going to, obviously these drivers are going to be trying to shoot for that magic number of lap 66. So we're about 26 laps, granted, about 24 laps of green flag running. So I think a lot of these drivers might be looking at this like a stage 1 situation at this point. What do you have and how can you get yourself into a good position in 23 laps time, as Rick Thompson and Chris Berg, it looks like, coming down pit road.
And I think this shorter run to the end of the stage, it favors Cody Gibson. I think Carroll, Kilrow, maybe Justin Levine, they're a little bit better on the long run, but Cody Gibson is the guy who's been able to fire off well and maintain track position. So we're going to take a live look into another broadcast we got going on here at Green Flag TV. This is a new Formula One league we got going on. Right now it looks like Jeffrey Lawler is up the front. That's another race we got going on if you want to go have a look on Green Flag TV. And we've also got some more races coming up that'll be going on later in this week following tonight's simulcast of the NASCAR trucks and the F1 series there. Coming up tomorrow night, the High Tide Racing League takes on the Milwaukee Mile. Then Tuesday night, the Silver Fox Racing League, they have their late model championship at Myrtle Beach. That is a great short track racing action. That'll be Tuesday night. Wednesday night, the Premier Sim Racing League heads on to Talladega for some more track action, and that's going to be happening at the same time as the Beer League's Formula 1600 League on Wednesday nights. Thursday, the O'Reilly Series car, the NASCAR Caswell Glass Company Series, goes to Watkins Glen. Then on Thursday, they've got the Speed Cup Series at Richmond. And on Saturday, the VSCA Sports Car Championship takes on Road America. Plenty of great racing that you're not going to want to miss here on Green Flag TV, so make sure you stay tuned in as we bring you the best from iRacing. We're going to take the green flag right here with 22 to go in the stage. Cody Gibson, now Chris Carroll is the car to his outside. Not a great jump from Carroll. That allows Kilroe to sneak by on the inside. The 41 to 99 door-to-doors. The whole field got a little bit bottlenecked behind them. You can see it on the right side of the screen. Contact between Arthur and Ping. Nearly 4 wide. That is Samuel Lawson to the inside. And they're able to get it sorted down the back straightaway.
For a second, I thought Tanner Marr was going to get sucked into a black hole there and get it into 4 wide, but it looks like the 4 able to avoid at least the 4 wide action behind him. Now keeping his eyes forward with Ping right in front of him as everyone up here at the front able to keep it single file. Cody Gibson is in front of Dalton Kilroe, able to regain that second place position ahead of Chris Carroll. These top 5 having a small break away from Mark Arthur, and you can see everyone still at least battling back there. A little bit of a jump there from John Perkins gives himself away to potentially Tanner Marr, but Marr sits behind. Contact between the two. That's going to send a 33 into the outside wall, doing a good job of saving it. No damage, and that 34 keeping on going.
That was an incredible save by Perkins. Oh, he nearly tags the wall again. I think it was a very similar situation to what we saw with Stevens and Causey, where there was just kind of a disagreement on corner entry about real estate. Sort of shipped the 34 up out of the racing groove, and you can see where the pavement is darker on those bottom 2 or 3 lanes. Once you get out of that, you lose a lot of grip. There's not more banking towards the wall. And once Perkins got in the light gray, he was able to do a really, really nice job to save that truck, but unfortunately lost a lot of time. Yep, that's Tanner Marr, just kind of tags him in the left rear, but John Perkins keeps his foot in it and has now sorted himself out back to the 18th position, so not too bad. Back up front, this battle still raging. 18 to go in the stage, and the gap for Gibson isn't that big. It's only about 2 car lengths back to second place, Dalton Kilroe.
Entirety of this top 12 staying single file for the moment. Ty Marasco, you can see rebounding back into the 12th position, trying to chase down Samuel Lawson right in front of him. But you got the 11 of Cody Miller also under attack from Luca Siciliano in the 77. He's trying to get himself to the inside of that 11 machine. Looks like he's going to be able to, at least for the moment, keep himself side by side. Ty Marasco, right now, sitting in no man's land, just trying to see if he can get himself back up to Cody Miller, who's been able to pull away from all of these drivers behind him. Siciliano is going to be able to dive it in there, and it looks like he's going to be able to take that spot away. Looking back towards the front, everyone keeping himself single file, but at least, bumper to bumper, it seems like all these tailgates have at least a little bit, not much room between each other, as they're about 2/10 from each other up here in the top 5.
And they're catching the lap truck of Scotty Stevens. Stevens has come back onto the track after an extended time on pit road. He is now being scored 11 laps down. Rick Thompson is only 1 lap down after the damage earlier, so he's in position to get the free pass when the caution comes out, either for the stage or for something that happens on track. I think we talked about it up here in the booth that this could theoretically be a very calm stage, but it has been anything but. We've seen 2 incidents. We've seen battles for the lead. We've seen 3 wide, 4 wide at times, drivers on the apron, drivers up by the wall. It's been a little bit of everything, and we're just a third of the way through this race. Great action here at New Hampshire. The top 4 are under a blanket, closing in on the end of stage number 2. Behind them, Joseph Causey trying not to lose touch. Mark Arthur has slid from 4th to 6th over the course of this entire race, so not a bad average running position for the driver of the 12. Zimmerman's hung on inside the top 10. Dustin Ping, Tanner Marr, Kleinschmidt have all been doing a pretty nice job. Shout-outs to those 3 drivers as this is the battle for 3rd. Chris Carroll gets loose, nearly contact with Justin Levine, who's going to stuff it into the inside of turn 3. I don't think he's got the chance for a slide job, so all he's going to try to do is hope to rotate that bottom and maintain some momentum down the front straightaway. Carroll's going to pinch him a little bit, though. Dangerous games for both of those 2 trucks. They stay side by side. Caution out again. Looks like a wreck involving potentially Brian Dees and Larry Bell. They were all able to save those trucks, but they got sideways enough that the caution came out.
See maybe if there's a little formula drift here or some ping pong happening here. Oh, a little bumper cars actually between the 43 and 17. Hard into that outside wall as Brian Dees got his back tires actually up and off the ground from that hard hit. Just a little snowball effect there with everyone checking up right in front of D's, it looked like. And that just caused that little bit of bumper car action to happen. And obviously Brian D's going to have the hardest hit here as we ride on board with the 17.
And it looked like Noah Van Hoot, the 00, was kind of the one who kicked that all off. He had a huge head of steam going into the corner, and he's got a pretty decent amount of front end damage on that 00. So surprised to see him not come into pit road. We'll ride along with him. That's Larry Bell just ahead, and you can see he kind of launches into the corner. Don't know if he had contact from behind as well, but it was at least a three-rung accordion. As now those two drivers with pretty significant damage, they've elected to come down pit road, get some tires, and fix it. Everybody else has stayed out except for Chris Berg, and Rick Thompson is able to get his lap back. So we're going to restart with about 10 laps to go to the end of the stage. Cody Gibson, Dalton Kilroe still your top two, as they've had plenty of opportunities to practice this restart, so they should be pretty good at it this time. Although last time on that restart, there was a lot of wheel spin that happened on the outside lane, and it wouldn't surprise me if we saw some of that again.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an easy thing to do here in New Hampshire. And along with that, you know, drivers, no matter the track, you know, they try to keep their marks, try to hit their braking points. And, you know, at times it's going to be hard for you to know if you're that close to the truck in front of you, or really, you know, also trying to defend behind you. It might, you know, you're changing up those braking points to see when you're really trying to send it in there deep compared to back off the truck in front of you. And we've seen multiple incidents tonight where I think a lot of these trucks might be thinking that, you know, they're trying to intimidate a little too much and ending up just getting into each other just because of where their braking zones are really getting into the entry of these corners. So I don't think that will be the last time we'll see a little bit of an incident here tonight from really a lot of these drivers finding where they need to brake whenever they're getting to the back bumper here. But one thing to note as well, this track, you got to make sure you're hitting your braking zones, because that banking, there is a little to none comparative to a lot of the tracks these trucks might have went to so far this season. So all things considered, you know, it might be a little bit of bumper cars here as we get further into the 2/3 of this race.
We'll see how these drivers behave with a short run to the end of the stage and a short run on these tires. Cody Gibson gets the jump. Dalton Kilroe is going to try to hang on his outside. Carroll Levine behind him. Levine gets really tight on the door of Carroll, maybe trying to take some air away. Marasco's the one all the way down on the apron. They're 3 wide for the 8th spot. A little bit of contact in the back, but we make it through turns 1 and 2 clean, as the first big battle is Marasco, Marr, Kleinschmidt. Lawson's the one climbing the banking. I think he almost lost the front end of that 24 truck, so he's going to have to slide back in line. A little bit of contact. Tanner Marr hangs onto it on corner exit. Lot going on here, but they're able to get it back down to double file with 10 laps to go in stage number 2.
Kleinschmidt got absolutely thrown down that front stretch as Samuel Lawson took such a high line. He got such a run to give the 59 a good bump through the middle of that front stretch. And now it looks like everyone's still trying to scramble now and trying to see if they can get themselves into that territory of getting some stage points, as Samuel Lawson looking to the outside of Lucas Siciliano in the 77. He's going to lose out, and here comes Ty Marasco in the 1. He's trying to claw back to get himself some stage points here, but got 2 more trucks to at least get by, with Lawson right here in front of him. Tanner Marr currently sitting the last truck in that top 10 situation, as though the 24 swinging out to the inside, got a little loose out of 2, but he's able to save it. And
Tanner Marr, one of those drivers who's not inside the top 16 in points, so he needs everything he can get. First side-by-side battle on track is for 4th. Chris Carroll under fire from Joseph Causey. Carroll, once he lost that 2nd position, hadn't been able to get it back and has been slowly bleeding a little bit ever since. I think he's being a little bit too conservative, or he's thinking about the long run, but we haven't had a long run yet today. Longest green flag run was stage number 1. We went 23 laps straight, and ever since then we have yet to have a run longer than that. So I think that's been at the detriment of Carroll. It's been, though, to the advantage of Justin Levine, who's been able to pounce on these restarts. Now he's looking at the inside of Dalton Kilroe. No momentum there, but he's challenging pretty significantly for the 2nd position, as they're not able to close the gap down to Cody Gibson. Gibson looking to sweep the stages.
Right now, you got to remember that Three's looking to try and be the first driver here in season number 11 to get to 4 wins on the season. But it looks like it's right now currently sitting on that last step on the podium, still single file all throughout this top 10.
And for the moment there, single file, that was Causey poking out. Issue for Chris Berg, went a little bit too deep into the corner, carried that truck all the way up to the wall. And yeah, as soon as you get in the lighter gray asphalt, there's just nothing you can do to get grip in that truck other than slow way down, which is what Chris Berg had to do. He's been on pit road a number of times tonight, so hope everything's okay with him. This is the battle for fourth. Causey sends it in, clips that blue line that's able to get the truck to rotate just a little, but Carroll does a really stout job sitting in that second groove and maintaining momentum on the outside. They've got to be careful they don't give up too much time because Mark Arthur is looking for a little more track position. That's contact. That's door. Carroll gets put way in the outside. Contact from Mark Arthur, but they keep going straight. Dustin Ping slides by. The 81 gets clear for the 6th spot, as now we're side by side for second. Levine wants one. He's able to get to the inside of Kilrow, but Kilrow looks stout in the middle groove.
He's trying to defend to the outside as we'll watch this tag team action here with Mark Arthur just tagging at least a 99 of Chris Carroll out of his way after wasn't really expecting those two to get too dicey there going into turn number 1, but Joseph Causey able to stay in 4th, and right in front of him, Justin Levine still trying to keep it to the inside with Dalton Kilrow to his outside. The 41 has had some troubles, keeping himself in 2nd, but he stayed in the top 3 all day today. And now Justin Levine trying to see if he can ship him back to 3rd, running that bottom groove all the way on the apron, that good wrench machine, trying to see if he can keep himself going and maybe have a potential battle here with Cody Gibson to try and close the stage. But Gibson loving all of this battling as they're now half a second behind the 7.
And if they stay side by side for just a little bit longer, Gibson's going to be able to hang on to win the stage. Meanwhile, Joseph Causey sneaking into this picture. He's able to get to the inside of Kilrow and actually get clear of the 41. I don't know if Levine made any contact to help Kilrow get in the wall, but he definitely slid it off at turn 2 and bumped the fence. Now, does Causey have anything for a similar throwback style truck in that 3? He's able to get to his left rear. 2 laps to go in stage number 2. We're going to take a look at the replay. That's what happened to Dalton Kilrow. It's now dropped him back to the 4th position as he's been able to stay ahead of Mark Arthur. He's looking at a great side-by-side battle for 2nd as Causey gets to the inside of Levine, but Levine clear off of turn 2 and into turn 3.
Mark Arthur, he's trying to see if he can get himself in the 4th with Dalton Kilrow right there to his outside. And for now, Arthur looking to the inside as they're coming to the final lap of stage number 2. Arthur trying to see if he can get himself another stage point, but Kilrow defending to the outside.
Yeah, those two are rubbing doors. It looks an awful lot like what happened with Causey just a few laps ago. Mark Arthur gets good rotation on exit. Kilrow's got the momentum off the top side. Back in front of them, Cody Gibson looks like he's going to hang on to sweep the stages for the day, but Joseph Causey wants the 2nd spot. Is he able to get enough throttle down on corner exit? It's going to be really, really close, but give it to Justin Levine for the 2nd spot. Cody Gibson wins stage number 2 over Levine, Causey, Mark Arthur, Dalton Kilrow in the 5th position, and it looks like Ping, Carroll, Zimmerman, Marasco, and how about Matthew Kleinschmidt all grabbing some stage points.
We're talking about Tanner Marr. He was trying to get himself into the at least top 16. He finishes 1 place out of the stage points in P number 11. But everyone's going to re-rack him here, getting into past that lap number 67. And congratulations for Cody Gibson, as he's going to try and sweep at least stage 1 and 2 and going into the final stage.
And he's going to have some great track position to work with as well. The entire field going to line up behind the iRacing safety car. And while they're getting ready to pit like everybody wants 4 tires, we got to go ahead and once again thank the Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company for jumping on board and helping put this event on. The Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company is a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise, specializing in commercial and industrial roofing and committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client. They're a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service, with creative solutions to meet any needs, including preventative maintenance, new roof construction, infrared scanning, green roof solutions, emergency repairs, and so much more. So head on over to oiroofing.com to get your roof all your roofing needs. And they've been doing a great job helping us out here as we are on pit road. Very, very busy place with most of the field still on the lead lap. Everybody is in for 4 tires and fuel, setting up what's going to be, about an 80, maybe 79 lap run to the end, longer than you've gone all day, so you got to be ready for it mentally. You've got to be ready for it with the car. Chris Carroll, a great stop. 2 tires for Carroll, and he launches to the lead. 2 tires also for Levi Allen, brings the 79 truck up to the 7th spot. Cody Gibson is the first truck on 4 as he beats Justin Levine, Joseph Causey, and Mark Arthur off pit road. Dalton Kilrow will restart all the way back in 6th, at the farthest back that he has been all day. A little bit of a slower pit stop for Tanner Mars, going to drop him back a couple of spots. And we want to give a shout out to Ty Marasco, speeding penalty earlier. He is now up to the 9th position. Took 4 tires there. Levi Allen, recovering from a similar speeding penalty with 2 tires, is up to 7th.
I like the call by Chris Carroll. I mean, obviously he got the short end of the stick during the final laps of this past stage, but still the 99 showed a lot of speed tonight, and this might be a good sample size for, you know, both the 79 and the 99 to see if those 2 trucks are able to keep up with speed with the rest of these trucks with those worn left side tires, and could end up at the end of this race seeing if we see a lot of 2-tire calls or not. But for now, Chris Carroll is going to at least break Cody Gibson's lead lap streak here, as now the 99 is going to be able to lead another lap and lead this field to green.
He is. So this restart, for the first time today, going to have a little bit of a different look to it as we kick off the 3rd stage. Hopefully we're done with yellows and restarts, as this will be potentially the most important drop of the green flag of the race. It'll be 80 laps to go. Carroll, Gibson, front row. Chris Carroll gets the jump, and we'll see if he can hang on to this lead as they head off into turn number 1. The field spreading out behind him.
Some lap traffic as well, but still the 99 able to clear the 7 of Cody Gibson. The 45 coming out of pit road here. He's going to actually not give that potential wreck back here. It looks like Samuel Lawson, no, you can see him wiggling, going 4 wide here, going to turn number 3, just barely getting it to the back bumper of the 43 there of Larry Bell, but still clinging to the outside. Thought he was maybe limping a little bit there coming out turn number 2, but he's going to ring that outside and get a good run down this front stretch to try and rebound here. Now looking to the backside of Larry Bell, really past his top 15. It's getting a little dicey back here as we look at the replay to see what happened to the 24 now. It might have just got the door shut on him, thrown into the wall, really, coming out of turn number 2.
And he tried to get to the right rear quarter panel of Dustin Ping, and it looks like Ping had a moment, and that's the contact that got that 24, that Ryko machine, up into the wall. This is for the race lead. Cody Gibson looking to the bottom. They've got the lap truck of Rick Thompson just ahead of them. And Gibson got really loose there. I thought he was going to lose the back end of that truck, but instead he's able to keep it side by side, door to door. Carroll's got momentum on the outside. That's Rick Thompson, who has not yet gone 1 lap down, so he's trying to stay on the lead lap. There's more issues for Samuel Lawson. Looks like the right side toe link on that truck is finally broken. We got a spinner. That's Cody Miller. Just as Lawson hit pit road, just as Thompson was about to go a lap down, and just as the fight for the lead was heating up, the caution comes out once again, just 3 laps into the stage. Cody Miller spun there near the pit entrance, so we'll have to see what happened to the 11 truck, as when the yellow came out, Carroll was still in the lead.
We thought it was good timing for Lawson, but it looks like maybe he got a penalty for entering closed pits, but that will be settled here. As we see the 11 gets a single car incident there, with the 11 just spinning himself out coming out of turn number 4. And, you know, we saw a lot of trucks get unsettled, and obviously if you get a little too much throttle coming out of these corners, it'll get a little dicey. And for the 11, unfortunately, of Cody Miller, he's going to have to at least bring it down pit road to get those flat spotted tires changed out. You'll see all these other drivers outside this top 20 bring it down pit road. A couple of these drivers, you know, repairing some of these damages they might have gotten in the early parts of this green flag run. But for many, it might be also a strategy call if maybe they didn't get fresh tires at past time, or at least for now, you know, just maybe shaking it up, get themselves back into a rhythm. Is some of these other drivers just going to keep it out on the track after this very short green flag run?
Yeah, I think those guys at the very end of the field, they're going to come in, they're going to top off on fuel. Really, it's not going to give them much of an advantage other than a wider pit window. You know, I think on fuel, you're looking maybe being able to run somewhere in the ballpark of 45 laps, give or take just a little bit. We saw pretty much everybody was able to get through the entirety of stage number 2 without having to pit in the middle of the stage. So that leads me to believe that we're looking at around that 44, 45, maybe close to 50 laps on fuel with the restricted fuel tank. And so pitting here is going to kind of widen that margin. The window to make it to the end is going to open in about 30 laps, but you'd be able to push it a little bit farther if you've got more gas in the tank. So a free pass there for Scotty Stevens. It's put him 9 laps down. Samuel Lawson is still repairing damage. Saw that 24 truck hard into the outside wall. He is 3 laps down. As after the pit cycle, Brian D's now last truck on the lead lap. Rick Thompson's caught back up to the field, which means these leaders are going to have clean track in front of them as they get to run again and try again. Cody Gibson, Chris Carroll been fighting all day. Carroll on 2, Gibson on 4, but a heat cycle on these tires might kind of equal it out.
Yeah, it's been really good to see the 99, to see how this 2-tire strategy has really played out for Carroll, and he's going to be able to at least keep that 7 behind him for the moment, as the 99 of Chris Carroll going to lead this group back to the restart zone, and we are green here at the Magic Mile.
Carroll's able to get clear, but it looks like the biggest challenge right now is from Joseph Causey. I thought Causey was going to have a little bit of a better run there. He's able to stay at the left rear of the 7 of Gibson. One car shooting way down to the bottom on the back straightaway, but they keep it out of the wall. I think that was Mike Massengill. As Levine looks to get to the right rear quarter panel of Causey, doesn't want to cause any contact, so he lifts off just a little bit. The 8 gets clear. Now the top 7 or so are single file. Here's what happened to the 20 of Massengill. Gets into the rookie Siciliano, but is able to keep that truck pointed in the right direction.
Dolphins settled for now up here in the top 3, looking further back here in the meat of the sandwich. And Matthew Kleinschmidt in the 59 looking to the inside, 3 wide, getting close with the 4 of Tanner Marr and Ty Marasco in the middle there. Everyone at least keeping it now 2 wide coming out of turn number 4, as everything got settled up here with John Perkins and Mark Arthur now settling into 8th. At 12 has fallen back to the back half of this top 10, and he's trying to see if he can get himself back through the field. Tanner Marr going to be defending against the 59 of Kleinschmidt. And all things considered, this top 12 for now, single file coming through the backstretch. But Cody Gibson getting closer and closer to the 99 with each passing turn.
He is right on that bumper. He's looking for an opportunity to just turn left as they come out of the corner and set up a kind of a slide job, right? He wants to overdrive the corner and get clear of the 99. Hasn't had the opportunity to do that yet, though. So for the moment, he's stuck in the 2nd spot. Opens up the door a little bit, though. When they get bottlenecked in that line, somebody can jump out and make the pass. That's exactly what somebody back there, a couple of guys were trying it. There's Gibson now all over the bumper. Causey clipped the grass. He got so low. Almost picked up a 1X, which isn't something you see often at an oval track in iRacing. But Causey's able to kind of use that to get even with the 7 and now try to give himself a shot at the lead.
I was going to say the 7 of Gibson hasn't had the battle from behind all of tonight, but for now he's still on the back bumper of the 99 of Carroll. And that's given the opportunity to the 8 of Joseph Causey, who's been looking to the inside, running his own line compared to the rest of these front runners. And you can see it is working right now. He is inching his way on that inside line, trying to see if he can get past Gibson. But down these straights, this other line is just going to be at least blowing by him. He's going to side draft a little bit there. Now going to settle back behind the 7 of Gibson. And not going to have much for him. Just Justin Levine's going to have to try and see if he can train on through to that outside line to get that last step on the podium. And for now, it looks like Causey's going to be slowly getting passed up by the 3, able to find into... find himself into that outside line, as it looks like Siciliano in the 77 had a little upset out of turn number 2.
There's a little bit of damage to that 77 Silverado. Not sure exactly what happened to Lucas Siciliano. That's Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Haven't seen much of TBB all race. No contact with the 10. Looks like Siciliano loses it on his own. Doesn't really make significant contact with the left front. It's certainly beat up a little bit, but not too much damage to the 77. Not major contact. Again, TBB not a real part of that incident. Butcher Benjamin coming into this race third in points, but hasn't run inside the top 10 all night. So a little bit of surprise to see him back in the middle of the Hornet's nest. As we are under caution once again, not within the fuel window and limited tires, but we're going to see a split decision. Chris Carroll decides to pit, as we've got him in the bottom right, riding along with TBB on the top screen as a replay of what happened to the 77.
You'd think it'd be a phantom contact there between the two. I don't believe that was any sort of net code. Just seems like a little bit of misplacement there with Siciliano going right around, coming out of turn number 2. Some little damage there for Siciliano, but gonna be able to keep himself up front on the lead lap, as Chris Carroll might be setting himself offset on strategy-wise right now in that 99. He's gonna bring it down pit road. You can see getting 4 tires this time by, and a little bit of maybe damages repaired, as well as he's going to be sitting in the box a little longer than the rest of the field, or those typical pit stops. He's still on pit road and maybe just trying to optimize how much time he gets on those damages.
So I'm going to be really curious to see how much better Chris Carroll is than everybody else here on tires. They haven't seemed to mean an absolute ton, right? The 2 tires for Allen and Carroll, they've basically been able to maintain their running position where they came out of the pit. So 2 tires hasn't been a huge detriment. But when Carroll's got 4, compared to the rest of the field, he's got about 10 green flag laps less on those tires than everybody else. Hopefully we get a little bit of a long run here so we can kind of see if Carroll can get through the field, and at least if he's got the speed and the pace to do it. That's your point leader. That's the guy who has won so many races this season. Chris Carroll looking for win number 4 on the year. But he's going to have to do it after driving through the field. This is now going to give Clean Air back to the 7 of Cody Gibson. I think a dangerous position for pretty much the entire rest of the field, as Gibson has been very, very difficult to pass. But for the first time today, it's Justin Levine at his outside. The 3 truck trying to take a stab at it and get the lead.
Gibson on the bottom side. Levine and Causey going to try and take away that lead from Gibson if they can. Field brings it back to the restart zone. Cody Gibson jumps here to get himself across the start-finish line, and we are green yet again here in New Hampshire, as Gibson able to get a good jump and keep himself in front of Levine. Everyone checking up a little bit behind him, but we keep ourselves single file for the first 2. Joseph Causey and Dalton Kilroe, those side-by-side for 3rd.
The first side-by-side battle, 3 wide for the 8th spot. John Perkins was caught up in the middle of that one. Causey got a little bit loose in the center of the corner, caused him to lose some time. There's that 3 wide battle. Perkins got his truck all the way up against the fence as he kind of followed Levi Allen around and was able to get clear of both Dustin Ping and Ty Marasco. Marr wants to follow him, kind of using those tire tracks. I see what you did. I'm going to try to replicate it to get on by. But it's not quite going to work out as well for the 4 truck as Ping and Marasco fight back on the inside.
Marasco still wrapping the inside line here. You got a lot. You could tell where the preferred line is for a lot of these drivers. And right now, Marasco and Ping, both of them sitting on that inside line, just trying to see if they can maybe get themselves up into that line and at least maximize their entry points. But for now, wrapping that apron line, keeping themselves, if you're really Ty Marasco, keeping yourself on the apron and actually going to have a good run coming out of turn number 2. A lot of the other drivers getting squirrely there, including Levi Allen, who you remember is still on 2 tires. He's trying to make the most of those right sides, but for now, going to be getting swallowed up little by little with each passing lap, as it looks like Dustin Ping able to get past the 79 machine, and now Ty Marasco is going to try and jump on the opportunity as well. Looking to the inside of Levi Allen.
Taking a look at these tires, Siciliano was the other driver that pit along with Chris Carroll. He's all the way up to the 18th position, was able to stay on the lead lap. Scotty Stevens free pass last time. He's 8 laps down, and Earl Hall has had to pull off the track with an issue. He is out of the race. The only truck out of the race. So 27 still out here, 25 of them on the lead lap. And Chris Carroll is right in the hornet's nest. That's Siciliano, and D's just ahead of him, trying to use those fresh tires to gain some track position. He's going to look 3 wide to the inside of D's and Bruton. That's Bruton in the 83 who had the run on corner exit, as Carroll's going to stuff it to the bottom. He's got to be really, really nice to these tires here, because they still have a ways to go until the pit window opens. But at the same time, he wants to use the advantage while he has it to get track position back. So a very, very interesting balancing act that Chris Carroll has to do. He's able to get one spot there on Bruton, and now he's looking at the 11 of Cody Miller.
And just picking off one by one. Obviously, this is a little bit of a marathon, this final stage, comparative to the first 2 stages. So for Chris Carroll, he's going to have to keep on climbing up here as he's now looking to the inside, staying on that inside line, and now going to be breaking himself now into the 17th position, and now going to try and track down Miguel Gomez-Godet in the 89. Just in front of them, Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Larry Bell trying to figure it all out, as really this entire field single file, maybe getting a little squirrely there in front of Ty Maresco was Dustin Ping. But these top 3 breaking off slightly here as they're making their way into lap number 59 to go.
Yeah, it seems like everybody got some sort of message that we needed to calm down and get some laps done here. We're closing in on the lap 100 mark of the night, and I think everybody has sort of realized that. It's starting to set in that we have, like you said, a marathon of a ways to go for the rest of the night. And that's allowed, I think, a little bit more give, a little bit more take. The track temp has cooled down just a little bit. Right now, it's a crisp 114 Fahrenheit. Just a little bit better than it was earlier in the day, and you can see expected to decline just a bit as the afternoon progresses here in the virtual New Hampshire. As this is the first side-by-side battle, Levi Allen still on 2 tires. I think starting to feel the lack of grip a little bit more now that we've gotten some green flag laps on these tires. He's opened up the inside for John Perkins. Just behind them, it's Tanner Marr, then Kleinschmidt and Rick Thompson side by side. Thompson nearly a lap down not too long ago. He's done a good job getting himself back inside the top 15.
So wrapping that outside line, trying to see maybe if he keep himself forward. Cody Miller slow on that outside line up in the marbles. The 11 very slow, and potential catastrophic damage there for the 11. We'll take a ride with the 11 to see what happened to him on the replay here going into turn number 1. Whoa, that right hand looks like maybe a little bit of assistance there for the 11 into that outside wall. Hard hit, and ultimately he's going to have to bring it down pit road as he is really losing a lot of time here. There's a better angle with the 77 sending it in there, clipping the 11, and he's down pit road now.
And I think Siciliano was planning to lunge into the corner. Miller wanted to be a little bit more conservative, and you've got such a long braking zone for an oval track, right? There's a long amount of time where you're off the throttle and getting the car wound up, and so you can take so many different approaches to it because that zone is so big. And right there you saw 2 differing mentalities kind of stacked on top of each other, and unfortunately Cody Miller got the bad end of it, and the eventful debut continued for Luca Siciliano. He finds himself back in the 19th spot, and I don't think it's quite the day that he wanted, but he's been able to stay on the lead lap for now. Still likely one more pit stop to go, one more run to the checkered flag, and he still got himself in this race and in a position to gain a little bit more track position. That was the battle there between Arthur and Marasco. Arthur's going to hang on to it as he's still in the top 5, and here is the battle for the lead. Justin Levine wanted it, but got super loose off of turn 2, and that allowed Cody Gibson to keep the lead, at least for the moment.
That free machine of Levine, you know, he's been poking it out there. He hasn't gotten to this position where he's been able to get at least alongside Cody Gibson. That was the first time he's been able to challenge really the most dominant truck here tonight, the fastest truck, obviously having that fastest lap time as well. Gibson has done everything but lead every single one of these laps tonight. Got a couple odd laps there for the 99 of Chris Carroll, who continues to climb up the timing table. But for now, Gibson trying to see if he can keep himself in front of Levine and Kilrow, who have all pulled themselves about 7/10 in front of Joseph Causey, who is currently sitting about in no man's land, back to Mark Arthur. And I would like to see what happens with that 12 machine once this long green flag stint potentially happens, because Arthur was faster than every other truck on the racetrack whenever that first green flag stint went through. He was pulling about a 10th on the leaders whenever that first stage break happened, and we'll see if he's going to be able to pull out that magic if this all stays green. But for now, he's still got to hold off that one of Ty Marasco, who we did see he was still rebounding, him getting himself up here potentially into the top 5 in that Dairy Queen machine. But for now, he's going to have to settle back to 6 behind Mark Arthur, who's been defending that outside line very well.
And I think Arthur was able to get into a nice rhythm, as this is a great crossover from Levine. Gets to the outside now as Gibson tried to defend the bottom, and Justin Levine goes to the lead. Here goes Dalton Kilrow looking for the second spot. Can he get the slide job on Cody Gibson? No, not clear. They're going to be door to door, dead even for the second spot, as we're going to take a look at a replay for the pass for the lead. Levine sends it into the corner, washes up on Gibson. Gibson gets the crossover, but I think something happens and the 7 truck hiccups. Oh, right there on exit, he just can't get the throttle down, and that's what opened the door loose again for Cody Gibson. He's got Dalton Kilrow all over his deck lid, as Joseph Causey's kind of been able to reel these guys back in, get himself in the battle at least for the second spot. Dalton Kilrow once again tries the slider, but not clear, and as they are side by side, it's allowed Justin Levine to open up a half-second gap as he's looking to go back-to-back. Oh, big wreck. Kleinschmidt, Massengill, and others involved. We're still green because everybody's still pointed in the right direction, but there's big damage to the 20 truck.
Say surprising enough, the yellow stayed down, and feels like Barney kept that green flag out, at least for the moment. We'll take a look back at what happened with Kleinschmidt and the rest of this group back here. A little bit of contact leading the bumper cars here. Hard front end damage for the 20, the 59. Doing everything he can to keep it forward and keep it green. Good job on everyone to keep it forward, and we stay green for now. The battle for 5th still ongoing, as Marasco now looking to the outside of Mark Arthur. These two switching it up from the last time we checked in on the battle for 5th, and it seems like Arthur's going to have to keep himself in 5th. He's doing a good job of defending against that one machine. And I was going to say, you know, you got a lot of different stories here for these drivers who, you know, the 8 and the 3 both started in the 20s. They have gotten a lot of reps on the at least battling through and getting themselves up into the positions they are currently sitting in. And then you have the 7, Cody Gibson. The virtue of, you know, sitting out there in the lead, obviously not having to battle anyone, but at least right now it seems like he was trying to keep himself on that inside line against the 3, got a little loose, and that was the first time that 7 really had to battle that hard to get himself into consideration. But for now, it looks like the battle for 5th, getting maybe a little bit of contact between the 2, as the 1 had to bring it down the access road going into turn number 2 and 3. A little bit of airborne, though, for Ty Marasco there. They're still not going to get away from each other, though. They love each other right now, and maybe a little hard love at the moment, as they are still keeping themselves in the consideration for P number 5, which is surprising for how much craziness just happened there.
Yeah, I thought they were battling and they were losing time to Zimmerman behind him, and then Marasco takes a trip through the grass. As we're taking a look at the battle for 2nd, Marasco went through the grass, Arthur got loose, but Zimmerman wasn't close enough to capitalize. That's Joseph Causey. He's gotten clear of Kilrow, and he wants the 2nd position. Causey's a guy, I think similar to Mark Arthur, is really good on the long run. He'll come alive when everybody burns up their tires a little bit more than he does, and he's got some more grip. Look at how well he's able to turn to the inside of the exit of turn 2 compared to Gibson. He's just got more in those front Goodyears right now. He's going to send it to the inside, just put his left side tires on the white line, and he's clear. Joseph Causey up to 2nd, and now he's got his sight set on the leader as the pit window's open, and Cody Gibson is the first one to take advantage.
That is a daring call by the 7. He's got to really hope he's going to make this undercut work by keeping it green here. Dustin Ping also going to join the 7 on pit road since the pit window has opened officially. 44 to go. It's going to be an interesting call to see what these leaders do now with Cody Gibson coming in. He's going to have fresher tires and going to be at least half second faster than the rest of the field. But that's all considered. That's high risk, high reward strategy. Works out for Gibson. As he's still on pit road, he's now going to go a lap down officially. You can see now coming out of pit road, he's going to be about 2 corners away from those leaders. So if he wants to organically unlap himself, he's got a little bit of time, and it's about 3 seconds back. As you see, Ty Marasco is going to be sitting to the outside of Gibson there, but Gibson's going to have the fresher tires, and we'll see how much he's going to be able to keep up on pace. And now he's clear of the one, so he's got at least a little bit of clean track to get himself up there towards the leaders. Taylor Butcher Benjamin and also Rick Thompson going to bring it down pit road to try and see if they can get the undercut to work as well.
And I think Gibson pitting was kind of the thing that drew everybody else to pit road. He was one of the leaders. You don't want to lose too much time to a guy like Gibson, especially on a day where he's been so good. He's won both stages, and he pit from the top 3. So trying to mirror that strategy for TBB, Dustin Ping, and others. Right now, Gibson, the first one on the undercut strategy. Those are the lap times for the leader right there in the 32 flat ballpark. We'll see what the laps are for Gibson, but I'd imagine it's quite a bit faster than the 3 truck. I mean, these tires are just so much better. The truck handling so much better in the corners and going so much faster. He's going to very easily unlap himself the natural way, and he wants to go as fast as he can because when these leaders pit, his gap is going to be built up right now by gaining time on these guys while they are still on the old tires, and then it's going to be a game of catch-up to see if Levine and Causey can get back to his bumper. 40 laps to go. Gibson has played his hand, and as soon as he unlaps himself, Collins in the wall. Caution is out. Happy birthday, Cody Gibson. And we're going to take a look. That's MGG. Doesn't wash all the way out to the wall. And Gomez Gaudet gets in the right rear of Brad Collins. And unfortunately, heavy damage to the 67.
Happy birthday to Cody Gibson, but on the opposite end of things, that 67 has seen better days. And he's going to have to wait till pit road opens, but I don't think that 67 is going to be able to stay on the lead lap with how much front-end damage he got there. And I think he was hoping MGG would go a little out more into that outside wall, but it seems like it has opened the door for a lot of these drivers to now bring it down pit road, and they're going to be chasing Cody Gibson down after he burned a couple laps on those tires. A lot of these other drivers may be going to have a little bit of an advantage with a couple laps fresher tires, but it seems like for now everyone's going to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires. We'll see if anyone takes 2 on the exit here.
Looks like a lot of 2-tire stops actually with how quick. Well, I don't know. More 2-tire stops for Carroll and Allen. Those were the 2 that I was looking at. As most of your leaders, Levine, the 8 of Joseph Causey, they're on 4 tires. Then it's Chris Carroll on 2. So we're going to get this sorted out here. Pardon me, Levi Allen was on 4 tires there. Brad Collins stayed out. Looks like he just wanted to lead a lap. So congratulations to Brad Collins. A little bit of an update on the strategy. Cody Gibson's going to cycle around to be the race leader as he was able to stay out where everybody else came on pit road. You can see all of the trucks in front of Brad Collins were the drivers that had attempted the undercut. Ping, Thompson, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, they were all in that group. They're able to get the wave around here, so they are back on the lead lap, but they are at the tail end of the field. The reason why this was such an advantage to Cody Gibson is because he was able to stay out without having to take the wave around. He was on the lead lap when the yellow came out, so he is the first driver who has pitted recently. But again, a few laps of tire detriment between Gibson and the rest of the field. Brad Collins, you see 30-lap-old tires. He's just trying something here. He may pit right here coming to the green, not sure, but if not, it's going to be Brad Collins leading for the first time today alongside Cody Gibson on the front row, Chris Carroll on 2, then Justin Levine, the first driver to pit under that yellow with 4 tires. Causey Kilmer, row 3, Marasco Arthur, those 2 don't like each other in row 4. We are back to green. Brad Collins trying something here, and he's immediately going to pull out of the way. Cody Gibson is clear for the lead, but not quite as Carroll drives it in the bottom, trying to make those 2 tires work. He nearly gets to the quarter panel, but here comes Justin Levine. Big run off the outside. He's clear of Carroll, now swings to the bottom of Gibson, gets to the left rear quarter panel and has a look, and we are wrecking again. And it may have been Brad Collins for a second time, and it may have been contact with the 89 for a second time. We will take a look at the replay and figure it out. But it looks like it could have been the same 2 culprits again. That's Chris Berg to the inside of Miguel Gomez-Gaudet, and he's the one who makes contact with the 89 and spins him right around.
And I think for Collins, that's also a little bit of help to the 67, who didn't bring it down pit road, but you can see immediately abandoned ship, to say the easiest way of saying it, on that restart. He got a couple laps in the lead, but obviously he was going to be swallowed up real quickly and put up into some unfamiliar situations there, as he was going to be getting really sucked back through the field. But for now, Cody Gibson going to be staying out in front of this field, as Justin Levine looked like he was going to give a little bit of pressure to the 7. But when the caution comes out, all things stay stagnant, and he's going to have to, at least for now, going to start to the outside of the 7 of Gibson. As you see Chris Berg, Dustin Ping in the 81 going to bring it down pit road, along with Collins and MGG. A lot of the drivers, obviously, that were not involved, staying out and seeing if maybe they can get a good jump on this next restart. And it's going to be 33 to go. And, you know, Kate, it's going to get, I think, a little more interesting as every passing lap, it's a little bit of a close call there coming out of turn number 2 with, I can't tell who got that free pass, but nonetheless, that adds another lap down. It looks like for Scotty Stevens, now 7 laps down.
Yes, that was Scotty Stevens' free pass. Want to add Samuel Lawson has dragged his 24 truck off the track. Cody Miller is back on track, although he has gone 21 laps down. So this is going to reset the field a little bit. Brad Collins, I think, had tried to stay out to lead a lap or so under yellow, but pit road closed before he was expecting it. So he was forced to take the green on the front row. Didn't shake things up too much at the front. Certainly doesn't have anything to feel bad about. But he is now finally able to get that damage repaired from the previous incident, which did also involve Miguel Gomez-Gaudet. It has not been a great season for the 89. I think every race that he's been in, he's found himself involved in a couple of incidents. So not a great year for the 89. They're just trying to turn it around and, find some ways to make these races without getting caught up in incidents. But today is not going to go down as a clean sheet for the driver of the 89. So we're going to line it back up. Cody Gibson, about 5 laps more on his tires, but a heat cycle here is going to even them out a little bit. I think gets him back on even playing terms, at least more even playing terms with the drivers behind him. But they've had plenty of practice passing Cody Gibson as he's been the leader for the most of the day. Can he lead the final 33 laps? He's going to have to fend off Justin Levine to his outside. Chris Carroll immediately behind him. Dalton Kilrow can't be counted out. Causey, Arthur, Marasco, Perkins, they've all got a shot. Cody Gibson is back to the green, and he's clear by about a car length into turn number 1.
Justin Levine now has his sights set forward as Chris Carroll, that 2-tire strategy call, trying to see if he can look to the inside of Levine coming through turn number 2, but he's going to lose a lot of momentum, and now going to lose that 3rd place spot to Kilrow. Further back in the field.
Chris Berg again. Scotty Stevens, don't know if he's in it or if he's just parked, and we are under yellow once again.
Berg gonna be burning up some more tire there. We'll see what happened between everyone back here in the back half of the field to bring out another caution here in the late stages of the race. Berg on the outside, and just gets sent right around off the front end of that 22. And unfortunately for the 66, not going to be an ideal situation, as Stevens actually going to bring it down pit road that time, and going to maybe keep it down pit road depending on bringing it down on a closed pit situation. So we'll see what happens with the 22. And all things stay bright here for Cody Gibson. And I was looking up some stats here, and the current state of the track, at least the temperature-wise, would be the heat record for New Hampshire. The entirety of the state has never seen anything above 106 degrees, and that's currently what we're seeing on the track, 106 degrees. So right now would be the first point where New Hampshire has seen these type of temperatures. So for these drivers, it's something they're used to. But for New Hampshire, it is still hot on this track. And it's been really cold, considering we've been near 130 degrees here, Cade. But it's getting to the point where maybe these tires are feeling a little bit of relief, while a lot of these drivers are going to be pushing it here in these final 30 laps.
Yeah, and with the cooler track temp, you can push a little bit harder. I think that's going to single file this race out a little bit more. It's going to kind of become more clear that there is one preferred groove. But when you do step out of line to try to make that pass, you have a little bit more grip to get it to happen. So I don't think it's going to change the overall complexion of the race too much, but I do think you're going to have to really figure out what that one line is, because if you get out of it and you're just running by yourself, you're giving up lap time. So we're going to restart here, 29 to go. Cody Gibson once again will be on the front row. Chris Carroll trying to hang on those two tires. I'm surprised he made that call again, Brad, because last time he did, he lost track position pretty quick. Curious to see if he's going to hang on to that track position now.
Yeah, and I think for Carroll, you remember he was on that somewhat off strategy call and bringing himself back with two tires. I think he might be trying to see if those left side tires will just keep him to the end at this point. And it might, but it's not a foolproof plan to, keep those temperatures up, along with keeping yourself in consideration for the win tonight for the 99. Trying to see if he could be the first one to get win number 4 on the season. But the 3 of Justin Levine seems like he's been very consistent and might be the closest competition to the 7 of Gibson if all things go right. So you could also see the 99 warming up those tires, trying to see if he can get everything he can on that second row. And for this top 5, we'll see what happens trying to chase down Cody Gibson.
Not too long until the end of the race, and these drivers are feeling the pressure. Cody Gibson is back on the throttle pedal. We're back to racing. He's still clear of the rest of the field as he leads them back down into turn 1. Plenty of experience doing it, but now Justin Levine is going to go on the attack. A little bit of contact behind them between Kilroe and Carroll. Arthur and Causey nearly got together, but they keep it in a straight line. Ty Marasco follows them in the 7th spot. Look at the send on the bottom from Causey. He knows he can make it work on the short run. He's trying to get around Mark Arthur, but nothing to it. And the rest of the field kind of gets settled out a little bit. That's Larry Bell and Brian Dees that are each grabbing a little bit of the wall in the front straightaway, but no major contact, and we stay green.
Keeping it too wide again between Carroll and Kilroe here before the number 3 position. You remember these two have really been duking it out, it seems like, through the entirety of this race. And now Kilroe is going to have to settle behind the 99 as you see the 8 of Joseph Causey, who's getting real close to the 41, trying to send it in there to get around Mark Arthur. But Arthur able to keep on battling to the outside, using it to his advantage and keep that 5th place position, battling back here in a little bit of wreckage. But everyone keeping it straight, but we are under caution yet again.
And it was Chris Berg and MGG once again. This is the second time we've seen these guys get together. That's Siciliano in front of them gets loose, and I think it's a little bit of a reaction that leads to that. You see Taylor Butcher Benjamin documented it's not the day that he wanted. He was caught up in that wreck as well. So it's about a 4-car scrap there at the back. And all these short runs are allowing Cody Gibson to scamper away and then reset and then jump again and then reset. So I don't know if this is what he wants, but it seems to be working into his strategy. Those older tires, the detriment should be away. Chris Berg jumps to the inside to get around the checkup of the 10, and that's where he catches the right rear quarter panel of Miguel Gomez-Gaudet, which is just another incident that unfortunately MGG's been involved in. Still on the lead lap, though. Still on the lead lap for most of those drivers. We're under yellow once again. We're going to restart with about 24 laps to go. And I don't know if most of these drivers still have a set of tires left in the pit, so they don't even have the option to come down if they wanted to. But at this point, I think you have the track position. You've got to just kind of work with it. A couple guys at the back, Rick Thompson, TBB, and a few others are in pit road. We'll see if they have fresh tires to put on. But otherwise, you've kind of got what you got at this point in the race, and you just got to make the most of it.
Yeah, you can't really throw a Hail Mary. New Hampshire doesn't have a football team, but, you can still maybe draw something up to try and see if you can get yourself into some good track position. And for a lot of those drivers in the back, if they have a tire set, I would say go for it. You have 24, maybe, well, now 23 laps to go whenever we take the green flag. But, you know, it ultimately is just track position after overall here at New Hampshire, because we've seen it is so hard to get past some of these drivers. And we remember Chris Carroll, he tried to get on that alternative strategy, but that 99 wasn't able to really get through the field that quickly. And even though we've seen how fast Justin Levine and Joseph Causey have been after them starting in the back half of the 20s to start the race, they didn't really get to the front until after the stage number 1 break. It was about the end of stage number 2 where really the 8 and 3 both showed their faces here in the top side of the top 10. So, you know, it is definitely track position dominant here in New Hampshire. And with 23 to go, I think a lot of these drivers that, like Chris Carroll, taking that 2-tire call is, you know, trying to just fully get themselves into a position where they can take these cautions one at a time and maybe get a position here or there and end up potentially getting themselves in a good position when it's all said and done.
We're happy you could be with us here tonight on Green Flag TV. The Blazing Pedals Truck League here at New Hampshire, following tonight just 2 more races until the playoffs, and then we'll begin the countdown to crowning a champion. Right now, Chris Carroll does have that point lead, but it's only 13 markers back to Dalton Kilroe there in row number 2. Up front, though, it's Gibson and Levine fighting each other for the win. And we're back racing again, 23 to go until the checkered flag here in New Hampshire. Great jump from Gibson. That time was better than others, and he's put a little bit of a gap back to the field as now side by side for second. Carroll to the inside of Levine.
Getting a little heated up here and it can quickly be a 10-minute race here with only 22 laps to go this time by. All these drivers got to try and make some of these moves sooner than later, as you see this really behind the top 10. It's getting dicey. It looks like the 12 of Mark Arthur getting into the wall, getting a little checked up there. And as Ty Marasco to the inside, everyone had to take a little bit of evasive maneuver, but we still keep on going. Arthur is still battling to the outside of Marasco there after giving up that 5th place position to Causey, who's now trying to track down. Oh, a truck further on back, spun right around the 25 machine. No caution, but he's coming back onto the racing line. It's still going to keep it green, though.
Not been the day that Rick Thompson has wanted. That's, I think, the 4th time that he's spun on corner exit. And there's a big moment in the back. Noah Van Hoot pounds the inside wall. And now the yellow comes out as they were battling for the lead. This replay on your screen is what happened to Thompson. He tried the apron line. Mike Massagill pinched him, though. Didn't quite give him a whole lot of room, and the 25 came around. This wasn't the cause for caution, though. The driver who brought out the yellow was Noah Van Hoot, the 00. We're going to take a look at him. He's wrapping the apron inside of 3 wide. That's Dustin Ping immediately to his outside. Looks like just doesn't quite know he's bottom of 3. I think he was expecting the 81 to go all the way up to the wall, but Ping was trying to give room to Matthew Kleinschmidt, and that has really, really hurt the efforts of Noah Van Hoot. So the caution comes out once again, and as we say in the business, cautions breed cautions. And as the clock winds down, desperation grows, and that's why as we see drivers trying things that are ultimately leading to incidents.
Yeah, cautions breed cautions, but at the same time, you know, we are just seeing a lot of drivers, I think, maybe overstepping, because, you know, considering New Hampshire, how the little banking we have here, and it's going to be the least amount of banking these trucks go to outside of a road course the entirety of the season. You know, you can't fully send it into these corners and let the track help you a little bit. You can't really swing up to, say, an outside line where you might be able to catch the truck and keep on that momentum. Here at New Hampshire, if you're going to send it, you have to fully commit to that slide job and then ultimately still diamond that corner, get yourself set up for the back or front stretch coming out of the corner before you get an over-under move performed on you. So it really has been, I think, a lot of these drivers trying to full send and maybe get a little too daring into these corners now with only 18 to go this time by. But it's, you know, that time where we're going to see those moves happen. We saw a lot of 3 wide and 4 wide action happening in the first stage. And so far in the back half of this, I'm going to think a lot more drivers are going to try and send it a little bit more. We might even see potential 4-5 wide action. I won't take that out of the picture, but still, you know, there's a lot of real estate here in New Hampshire. But for right now, everyone's still trying to track down Cody Gibson because no one can really put anything to him outside of Justin Levine.
Yeah, the track is wide enough to try some crazy things, but that doesn't mean all of it has grip. So we'll see what you're willing to do to gain some track position and potentially challenge for the win. The top, we'll say 7 or 8 have been pretty good about keeping those trucks in the straight line. There was contact earlier that I knocked Scotty Stevens out of contention for the top 10, but other than that, most of the incidents have kind of come from deeper in the field. So the fight for the win has been pretty clean and green. It's been the dirty air, center of the storm, the hornet's nest, whatever you want to call it. But the mess outside of the top first 4 rows has been where these incidents have been coming from. So hopefully those guys will be able to get it wound up and get the best finish that they can, while the leaders are duking it out for trying to see who's going to be the podium finishers, the big point scorers, and ultimately the one who holds all the bragging rights. Cody Gibson gets another shot at an inside lane restart here. He's been pretty great at him all day long, but Justin Levine's trying to get the timing down on the outside. He'll get a decent push from Carroll here as they roll through the restart zone, racing again. And that time was the best that Levine's ever done. Gibson can't get clear and swing the truck down into turn 1. Levine's able to hang at his quarter panel. I think this is going to be the chance that he needed. There's just a little bit of door banging, but for the most part, it's a clean run on the outside for Levine. Kilroe tucks in to try to follow him. Carroll looks 3 wide. That's Causey sending it to the bottom. 3 wide for the second spot. Door to door for the lead. Justin Levine gets the power down on corner exit, and he is able to get it as they're fighting behind them. Carroll and Causey make contact. That makes it a 3-horse race for the lead. Issue for the 12 of Arthur, but the caution is yet to come out, so we're going to stay focused on this great battle for the top spot, as Gibson actually got a pretty good run off the bottom, and the yellow comes out when he retakes the lead. It was only temporary, but contact between Zimmerman and Arthur puts us under yellow inside of 16 laps to go.
Arthur did a great job of keeping it on out of the inside wall, and there might have been a separate incident you can see right there with the 83 going right around, and that was the William Bruton getting spun right around. We'll get another set of eyes to see what happened on this incident, including the 83 and the 25. Another 3-wide situation, and they just get sent right around each other, and the 83 ultimately the biggest loser, getting sent into that outside retaining wall. And not too much damage, but still nonetheless going to put us under caution yet again.
We're going to re-rack him and restack him and go ahead and give this one another shot. It's kind of a one of these tendencies of a flatter track, a slower track. It's very easy to make a misjudgment on corner entry, very easy to over-prioritize getting the power down on corner exit. And we've seen these issues time and time again. Bellberg, Bruton, and others are going to be down pit road, and that ends such a good day for Mark Arthur. He was in that other incident, the one that did not bring out the yellow. Arthur had been basically inside the top 6 all day long, and now he's found himself on pit road outside of the top 20 towards the tail end of just 24 cars that are still on the lead lap. Scotty Stevens, Cody Miller, Samuel Lawson, and Earl Hall are the 4 who are out of the race, but the other 24 are still in the race and still on the lead lap, and I think that's given us more situations of drivers who are trying to gain track position, and ultimately it's led us to more sketchy moments that bring out the yellow flag.
I was really watching that battle. Like, we had 5 trucks all within 2/10 of each other, but at the back half of that 5-car battle, we saw Chris Carroll and Joseph Causey getting really into it, leaning on each other. And, you know, Carroll was also holding that 8 down across the start-finish line, a little under half of the track. And it really was getting a little feisty between those two, so I won't be surprised if those two get back at each other again if the situation comes back to it. Granted, the 8 now going to be in the second row on the outside line, and Carroll going to be that third truck on the inside line. So we'll see if that inside line is going to have the advantage again to where those two tangle each other up. But nonetheless, Ty Marasco also getting a good rebound, currently sitting in 6th with John Perkins, Levi Allen, Brian Dees up to 9th, and Tanner Marr in 10th currently, all sitting in some good positions with 12 to go when we take the green flag. Everyone, really these top two, trying to track them down, and we'll see if that 8 of Kazi is going to be able to get that inside line flowing again.
So Levine's going to look to replicate his great restart. The last time we crossed the line, he was able to stay at the rear quarter panel of Gibson and momentarily take the lead. He's going to try to do it again with a dozen laps to go. 12 miles remaining, but this time it's a much better jump from Cody Gibson. He gets clear, and now the top two are single file as they battle for third behind him.
Kilrow to the inside, Kazi to the outside. Kazi's usually the man that's on the bottom side of the track, so right now in unfamiliar territory, but doing the best he can with it. Tagging the wall just a tiny bit there on corner entry. Gonna give up a little bit of time, but still gonna hang on to the outside, leaning on each other. It looks like coming out of turn number 4. The 41 still battling to the inside with the 8 to the outside. Kazi's gonna be able to get the nose out in front, but here comes a 41 matching his pace into turn number 1, still tagging him a little bit there, coming through 1, going out of 2, still side by side, elbowing each other. Into the wall goes Kazi, checking up the 99 of Chris Carroll right behind him. He has to check up, and here comes Marasco to join in the battle.
That opened the door big time for the 1 truck, as that was a huge shot to the wall. They really started leaning on each other, and I think it was a situation of the golden rule: you raced me this way, I'll race you the same way back. And that led to some mutual contact. Oh, caution is out again with 10 laps to go as Cody Gibson laid down an absolute flyer trying to escape the pack. Best lap of the race, but Brian Dees has made heavy contact with the inside wall. That's Tanner Marr to his immediate outside, and it looks like Dees just didn't quite give him enough space on corner exit. Rick Thompson, man, involved in another one, and Brad Collins piles in, making heavy contact with the front end of that 67 truck.
Couldn't really go anywhere, but still slamming in there. And all things considered, more laps are ticking down, and Cody Gibson is at least loving the fact that these laps are going by where he can keep himself in the lead under caution. But Justin Levine didn't have the greatest restart there, and it seems like these two are going to have the same repetitions here. And it's going to become more and more dire for that 3 to keep himself to the outside of the 7 on these restarts. I think he already knows this, but still, Kilrow has been quietly sitting there. He's been giving the 3 a little bit of fits too, but it seems like just nobody has anything for Gibson on these restarts. And if these cautions keep coming out, I don't think anybody has anything for Gibson, because the first 1 or 2 laps, nobody has really gotten to the outside or the inside of the 7 when all things are said and done.
Gibson's been doing a good job playing defense. We see Brad Collins, Brian Dees there on pit road. Larry Bell, I think, potentially knocked the toe link out of that 43 truck earlier. He was one of the ones who made heavy contact with the wall, so he has been on and off pit road. But still on the lead lap for the 43 truck, so still an opportunity to gain a little bit of track position. We are going to restart here with just 6 laps to go. In theory, it shouldn't take us more than about 3 minutes to do it, but there is a potential for overtime. A green-white checkered restart here, we could see that come into play. And if it does, it'll be just a 2-lap sprint to the finish. But for the moment, we're going to see if we can get 6 green flag laps done. Still Gibson, Levine, the best, who they've been the best all day. And luckily, they're the two that get to fight it out for the lead after everything they've been through, after all the pace laps, all the green flag laps, and a potential for a green flag pit cycle that got interrupted earlier. They have been the two that I think deserve to battle for this win. So hopefully they get the chance to fight it out. We've got 1 lap to green as Justin Levine is looking for another win on what has been a very successful season. Already 3 wins this year, hasn't run enough to put himself in the contention to make the playoffs. Cody Gibson, meanwhile, is hovering right around that cut line, comes into the day just 25 points to the good ahead of Logan Wilson, and a little bit of a bigger gap back to Eddie Hagee. So Gibson can make good use of these points as well. Already racked up 20 of them today with the stage wins. He's already grabbed himself a pole, and he's looking to complete the perfect race. The pole, the fastest lap, 2 stage wins, and he is 6 laps away from winning the race. Then Justin Levine, Dalton Kilrow, Joseph Causey outside row 2. They're all going to have a shot at him. Out of turn 4, the pace car ducks down once again early in the restart zone for Cody Gibson. Gets him clear into turn 1, and we're back to racing. Just 6 to go as Levine now looks to the inside, trying to get to the quarter panel, nearly tags him, but Gibson's going to be clear on the exit of 2.
And I wouldn't put it out of the way of the 3, maybe getting into the back end of the 7 if he has to here, because he's right now got 2 car lengths to gain on Cody Gibson. Because really, outside of that, everyone's still single file through this top 5. Looking back here with Ty Marasco able to get clear of the 99 of Chris Carroll, who's trying to hold off the 34 of John Perkins, who has jumped up, looking for a top 5 position. It is 2 wide, 3 rows abreast. But it looks like Carroll's going to be able to keep on chugging through the bottom lines, keep him nose to nose, and close as everyone into the wall there behind Perkins. It looks like maybe
Mark Arthur's turned in the back. Sorry, Brad. That's Bruton and Arthur getting together on the exit of turn 2. Great save for, I think it was Rick Thompson, but this situation was not saved as Bruton in the 83 hits the wall on corner exit, and Arthur just didn't have anywhere to go coming out of that corner.
You can see he's really got stuck to that wall too. I think Arthur obviously not having the ending to the night that he wanted, and right now, since there's not that many trucks a lap down, he's going to be sitting all the way back in 23rd and potentially going to have to bring it down pit road as well, depending on if he has any sort of damage to the right front of that 12. So we'll see if he brings it down pit road this time by, but this is exactly the position that 7 wants to be of Cody Gibson. Another caution is going to bring us down to green-white checkered territory. And so far, unless Justin Levine is able to hit his marks in the restart zone, Gibson is sitting in a pretty situation where he could just pretty much get himself clear into turn number 1. And he has no troubles at all, it seems like, if he gets clear by turn 1.
We've had plenty of practices at a restart, but I think this is going to be the final, if not one of the final opportunities to do so. So you've had your rehearsals, you've had your chance to make a plan. Now you've got to go out and execute. Levine's had a really good restart. It only happened once, but he did have one where he could stick at the door of the 7, and if he can replicate that, if he can remember what he did, and if he can time it perfectly, he'll have the chance for Cody Gibson. Gibson, meanwhile, has experimented with going everywhere that he can in that restart zone. And as we take the 1 to green, we'll have 2 laps to go on the restart. It's a green-white checkered, but it's a natural green-white checkered, so we're not quite extending into overtime period yet. And it looks like we are. This is going to be 1 lap longer than we initially planned on, so 150 laps will be completed, and then we'll go into 151, because why not? Kind of a little bit of a throwback, if you will, to the old Sylvania 301, the race that we used to run here. Always a good time at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So we are half a lap away from seeing this one. Brad, who are you liking on this restart? Do you think Levine can get it done, or is the track position too good for Gibson?
I'm really thinking Gibson has the upper hand here. I think it's all going to be really the battle before the start-finish line if Justin Levine is going to be able to hit his marks and match the pace that Cody Gibson has out of the box.
So here we go. Will this be the final time that we take the green flag? Gibson, Levine, Joseph Causey, now Dalton Kilrow in P4. We're racing once again, and it's a good jump from Gibson, stacking up big in the back. Huge wreck on the front straightaway. 6, 7, 8 cars involved, and the caution flag comes out as there was a huge stack up on row number 1. Justin Levine did not get the power down. I don't know if it was a tire spin or some other issue, but it destroyed the field behind them.
it became a parking lot. We, as everyone was, yeah, it looked like the 3 just so much tires and just pretty much stacked up that entire outside line. No one had anywhere to go. And pretty much if you were sitting on that outside line that time, you ended up with at least a good bit of front and back end damage. All things considered, another Cody Gibson, well, it looks like Cody Gibson's going to be able to take this restart next time by, but for riding on board there with the 3, it didn't seem like maybe a lot of craziness happening there.
It's possible that he started that truck in 3rd gear. I didn't get a good look at the RPMs to determine if that was the case. On the initial watch, I mean, it looked like his pedals disconnected, right? Here we go. We're going to have a look at it again. He's in 2600, jumps up to 27, and there, he's got a downshift. Yeah, I think he starts in 3rd and then has to bring that truck down to 2nd gear, maybe even 4th. I don't know. Something strange happened with the gearbox. But, man, when it mattered the most, Justin Levine was not able to get it done. And right here, he's going to get an end-of-line penalty for that as well. So he's going to have to drop all the way to the tail end of the lead lap. Well, right along with Chris Berg, this is what it looked like in the middle of the field. You can see Kleinschmidt, MGG, Siciliano. Rick Thompson had a huge hit in that crash. I mean, it, like you said, Brad, it turned into a parking lot. And when it mattered the most, completely changed the outlook of this race.
I am still boggled by everything that just happened there. I mean, obviously, Levine picked, it had to be 3rd gear, I think, going into the restart zone. Maybe was thinking too much on the jump and not really what gear he would start in. All things considered, though, we are going into green-white checkered attempt number 2 here. And now a new challenger with Joseph Causey now going to be showing his face to the outside of the 7. Ty Marasco is going to line up behind Gibson as well, with Dalton Kilroe to his outside. Dustin Ping, Brian Zimmerman, Rick Thompson, Chris Carroll, Lucas Siciliano, and TBB going to be that last car in the top 10 to see if attempt number 2 will be the one where we could see Gibson potentially taking that white flag lap.
Now, Causey and Marasco have both been really, really good at running the apron, getting the truck all the way down to the white line that separates the pavement from the grass. Right now, Causey's not really in a position to do that. He hasn't restarted on the outside of the front row all day. So I think Gibson right here has a chance to get a really good jump. But Marasco has the opportunity to use that line, try to wrap it, and if he can get to the quarter panel of the 7, it's going to be a very interesting last lap. So we're going to try it again. 2 laps to go for Cody Gibson and now Joseph Causey. The green is back out. Great jump from Gibson. We're able to get through the restart zone clean. Marasco not close enough to send it as deep as he wanted to. He's still going to try it, but instead he's going to have to pedal the truck to keep it off the bottom and give 2nd spot to Causey. Causey is clear. Marasco tucks up in 3rd ahead of Dalton Kilroe.
And now Causey has at least a clear shot of the 7. Gibson wasn't clear going into turn number 1, but it looks like he's going to be able to get at least a car length away from the 8 machine and take the white flag and see if he can finish off this perfect night.
He's led a ton of laps, won both stages, sat on the pole. He's got the fastest lap, but now he's going to have to play defense. Joseph Causey has got to get aggressive. He's going to have one more set of corners if he wants to get to the bumper of the 7 truck. Battling behind him, Zimmerman's up to the 5th spot, Thompson to the inside of Carroll, but all eyes on the leaders, and Causey can't get there. Marasco can't put the power down, and Cody Gibson is going to win at New Hampshire.
Causey, Marasco, Kilroy, 3 abreast and further back in the field to come across the final time for the checkered flag. And look at that, for the fastest lap, that 7 machine of Cody Gibson waited till the last lap to set that fastest lap. And congratulations to the 7 machine of Cody Gibson, picking up his 2nd win of season 11.
Saving the best for last, was able to accelerate there at the end and get himself another win. Cody Gibson has been on fire lately. Bogs the wall a little bit there, but still, I think he's going to have plenty of chances to practice these burnouts. He's looked so good, came out here and absolutely dominated this race. made a great strategy call with the undercut under green and had enough pace to put himself in position that he was able to capitalize when the yellow came out. And he is now doing some much-deserved burnouts after a long one, an extended race here at New Hampshire. Went a little bit longer than originally planned, but after it was all said and done, Cody Gibson holds off a last lap charge from Joseph Causey and gets himself into victory lane, and he's going to be somebody that we talk to in the Flying Pig Tavern post-race show. We'll take a look at the results here. It's Gibson, Causey, Ty Marasco finishes third to round out the podium. His MFRD teammate Dalton Kilrow comes home in fourth, and this will likely close up that battle for the point lead a little bit. Brian Zimmerman fifth, but Carroll hangs on to first in the standings as he finishes sixth. Rick Thompson winds up seventh. Taylor Butcher Benjamin rebounds to finish eighth. Lucas Siciliano in his debut comes back to finish in ninth, and Chris Berg on and off pit road all day, but he finishes 10th.
Pushing through 11th through 20th. Tanner Marr finishing in 11th, and then Noah Van Hoop ended up in 12th. Miguel Gomez Gaudet ends up in 13th. John Perkins 14th. Levi James Allen in 15th in the 79. Mark Arthur rebounding back up to 16th. Justin Levine in the 3 finishing in 17th. Matthew Kleinschmidt 18th. Dustin Ping 19th, and William Bruton ends up in P number 20.
Brian D is from the rear of the field, is only able to climb up to 21st. Brad Collins being hit there at the end, 22nd. Mike Massengill caught up in a couple of incidents, 23rd. Then it's Larry Bell, Scotty Stevens, Cody Miller, Samuel Lawson, and Earl Hall, all unable to finish the race. So we're now going to head on over to the Flying Pig Tavern post-race show, where we're going to get to talk to our final 3. And we're going to kick it off with Ty Marasco. Third place finisher is able to join us in the booth. Marasco, you got a copy?
I got you guys.
Well, it was a very chaotic race there at the end. You were able to drive up to the third position, had a little bit of a shot at the lead. Did you have a plan going into that final restart, or were you kind of just playing it by ear?
I had a plan. I was going to dive it down. I don't know what it is about the track or what it is, but that for some reason there's some grip down there below the blue line on the apron. I was going to dive it down in there. I just didn't get a good enough restart. I was a little too far away to make a move. I was going to see if I could dive it down in there and try to maybe get side by side or clear them, but wasn't able to. And then after that, I was just kind of hoping maybe that him and the 8 would get, or him and the 8 would kind of get together and have a better chance. But we'll end up taking third. Yeah, it was kind of a race of attrition right there at the end, and I was glad to stay out of it.
Yeah, there was that big stack up on the restart. What did you see out of the windshield when they all kind of started piling up?
Just the outside light didn't go. Just assumed it was a missed shift, and as he said, I believe he said it was a missed shift. So just kind of hammered down, tried to stay away from it, and everything else kind of happened in my mirror. So, and it put us in third, so it gave us an opportunity to get up there and get a podium finish.
Well, it was peaking at the right time for Ty Marasco, who was kind of back in the fight all day. You had a lot of really interesting battles. But how was the racing out there? You know, there seemed like there were a lot of grooves and quite a bit of contact.
Yeah, a lot of contact. I don't know. It seemed like everybody was hitting somebody today. Everybody was pissed. Everybody was looking for somebody after the race, I think, tonight. But yeah, a lot of different grooves. Apparently, I found a line that cuts 3 and 4. I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but
Oh, we saw it.
Yeah. That wasn't intentional. It was just I got hit down there, and I'm like, well, I'm just riding this out. No, it's like I was just hoping to pray. But yeah, not ideal groove, but yeah, there was a lot of grooves. It was for fun race, and I really wish it would have stayed green there before the green flag pit stops, and I think that would have made it a really interesting race.
Well, we'll let you go fight whoever it is you need to fight. If you've got anybody to shout out, you can let us know now, and then we'll let you go throw some hands.
Yeah, I'm good with everybody. I know I probably pissed off a couple people, but that's about typical for a race sometimes. I know me and Mark had some good battles there for a while. So, but I'm not fighting. I ain't mad at nobody. But I'm gonna go watch the. Yeah, I'm gonna get my popcorn, sit back, and watch everybody else fight each other, maybe. But yeah, I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do a great job. Glad to be back. Been off for about a month, for me at least. I'd like to thank the Flying Pig Tavern, Ohio Indiana Roofing, and the Shortstop Italian Restaurant. everybody that puts it on. Great league. Been here since the beginning, and love to keep it going.
Well, thanks for coming up here and talking to us. Go grab some popcorn and enjoy the fight night.
I will.
We're now going to get to talk to our race winner who put it all together when it mattered. Cody Gibson is standing by with Brad.
Welcome to the booth, Cody. And, for having your 4th pole on the season and then pretty much having the perfect night, you could say, from a points perspective and near perfect altogether. Take us through how you were feeling behind the wheel tonight. And especially, it seemed like you were in a league of your own on these restarts.
Yeah, I mean, short run speed, I felt real good. But the long run speed, like after about 20 laps, it just faded real quick. I think I burnt up the right front and heated up the right rear, but it was just so hard to pass. I mean, you could see that people that passed, they had to basically dive bomb on the apron and wash up in front of you. But you get back on a run on them, but I couldn't do all that. So I just tried to stay out front. I short pitted on that last stage. I don't know if that caution helped me get the win tonight or it hurt me if the caution didn't come out where I would have ended up. So yeah, I mean, I felt good.
I mean, you were bringing me up to my next point where you had that, you're trying to undercut there under the green flag stops. But all things considered, it seemed like even when you were battling out with some of the other drivers that even though you were, pretty much in front for the majority of the night, you had those great battles. You seemed like you kept yourself cool and collected. Coming into New Hampshire, were you expecting a lot of those more green flag runs, or were you expecting a little bit of stop and go like we had towards the end of the race?
Actually, I thought it was going to be like the second part of the race the whole night, but no, I mean, the first 2 stages, I don't know how many cautions we had, but it seemed like there was a lot of good racing, and kind of the third stage came around, it's so hard to pass, people trying to do what it takes to get around people, and sometimes, accidents happen, but to get away from all that, you got to be up front. And I seen everybody come down pit road, and I had like 5 or 6 laps on my tires, and I was like, I know Chris at one point took 2 tires. He got in front of me, and I couldn't pass him. I was like, I ain't pitting no matter what. I mean, I'm gonna stay in the middle of the track. They get around me, they get around me.
Looking forward, I don't know how many more races here before the playoffs you determined to come to, but with Texas and Martinsville both here next on the docket, are either of those tracks speaking to you, or are you more looking towards potentially the playoffs here?
I'm pretty good at Texas. Martinsville I'm pretty good in an Xfinity car there, but haven't ran it in a truck in a long time, and they handle like 2 different animals. So we'll just see how it goes, turn some laps, practice, get the car set up just right, and give it us all.
Well, before we let you go to celebrate, Cody, is there anyone we'd like to shout out?
Oh, my teammates. This win goes out to them. They're in Discord. We communicate a strategy, and of course, they were cheering me on there at the end, knowing I had old tires. So shout out to them, and y'all guys doing the broadcast.
And thank you, Cody, for joining us up here in the booth. Congratulations again for win number 2, and we'll catch you next time out next Sunday.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And that was your race winner. Pretty much a perfect night for the 7. And we're going to send it back up to the booth with Cade to see if what else is going on around the track here.
Well, we don't have Joseph Causey. I don't know if he was involved in any of those fights that Ty was talking about. I wouldn't think so. But we are going to get ready to head to Texas next week. Very different track, very different style of racing, but still not something you are going to want to miss. I know we were off next week, but we get a few back-to-back-to-back. So next Sunday, August 16th, we'll be coming to you live, same channel, same exact time, and it's the same exact series that you are not going to want to miss. So as we get headed on out, leaving New Hampshire and headed to the Southwest, is there anything else you'd like to add for us, Brad?
Great racing here in New Hampshire. We got a lot of feisty and a lot of a lot of crunch time, I feel like, for these drivers. And next week at Texas and Martinsville, you got less and less time to make your way into the top 16 to get to the playoffs. So I think these next 2 weeks will be a lot more stressful and a lot more on the line for some of these drivers.
That's right. The clock is winding down. Cody Gibson able to get the win after a chaotic one here in New Hampshire. We're glad you could join us on Green Flag TV. So we hope you enjoyed. I've been Cade Corbin, joined by Brad Daniels, Dustin Ollis, pushing the buttons behind the scenes. So we thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you next week.